Hello and welcome to episode 83 of Gamers Are Lost Part podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Tesson, and joining me this week, it's the other spark on the pod. He's the voice of the VR generation. It's Mr. Darren Whitnam.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, sir. I'm not too bad. How's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a quiet one, really. What can I talk to you about that's techie related? That's quite interesting, yeah. Google Expeditions visited my son's school, which I thought was cool. Now, we covered this ages ago, maybe even before the VR desk was on the show, but when we used to talk about VR and stuff. And what Google Expeditions is, they are an initiative from Google who go around to different schools, taking around a load of kit so that they can go on virtual field trips. It's kind of like no more need for thousands of pounds up front to go and visit this place or that place. Or, you know, you probably wouldn't be able to visit them with health and safety if we're going to the bottom of the Antarctic Ocean or something like that. So they took some stuff. Now, I only sort of know what I extracted from Sam, which is difficult because he's only little. But I did get a little leaflet. Like a passport, an expedition's passport they all got. But I was a bit let down because it had a place inside to sign it. It said, you've passed this, signed, dated, wasn't signed or dated, and a little sticker that was supposed to have the date on that nobody had bothered to fill in. So I was a bit disappointed that the person, I said, was there somebody there that gave these out? He's like, yeah. But they didn't sign. No. I was like, okay. But what it is, you can take a field trip virtually from your classroom. So they go around with all the kit, and I believed it was VR, and I think it is, but I think in Sam's year, because it's such little ones, they didn't do the VR stuff, because I think they do use Google Cardboard usually. But what they did, Sam explained to me, is they took them on a trip using iPads. So They give the kids iPads, or they'll look on a big screen, and then the guide, who's the teacher, they'll be the guide, and they'll lead everybody else will watch on one screen or many screens, and then the guide has another tablet, and then they will use that tablet and they'll be the guide, and then they can direct the whole class through a 360 video or experience of different destinations and point things out on the way. So, virtual tour guide. So they had that. I was a bit disappointed, but slightly disappointed with it, because we got a letter like the day before saying, yeah, we're having Google Expeditions at school. I was like, oh, this will be amazing. I'm so excited about this. It's got to be VR. And I was like, Sam, this is going to be VR. I said, maybe not like Vive, but you'll have a headset. And he came home and was like, well, did you use the headset? He's like, no, we didn't do that. And I was like, how did it work? And he sort of got that out of it. So I think maybe an unruly class of 6-year-olds and some 5-year-olds might not have been the best demographic for them to roll out the Google Cardboards, and maybe they did that for another year, like higher up. But he still said he enjoyed it, which is pretty good.
But they always say, don't they, that VR shouldn't be for eyes old. That you need to be older than 12, isn't it, or something like that? So maybe it's kind of something like that. Maybe it's the health and safety side of it. It
could have been that, because I remember saying actually that I was a bit surprised about that, being at a school, that it was like going to happen. But then the interesting thing is the letter home from school actually said VR. That said VR experience.
Right.
So I'm not sure. And I haven't sort of asked the teachers what happened in older year groups, but I suppose I'll find out. So, yeah, they got to go around in the deep sea, which is quite cool, and look at the fish and stuff. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty good. A bit of tech coming to schools.
Excellent. That's
even
superb.
Even if you didn't wear the actual goggles, but as you say, could be for the best. What else did I do? Oh, yeah, while we're on about Sam, after conquering Resogun last week, I started talking to him about Portal. I think I mentioned it to you, and then on Friday night, he got intrigued. I think it was because I was playing Rock Band one evening, and I played the GLaDOS song, which is on Rock Band actually, it's probably a DLC from one of the previous Rock Bands I had. Anyway, there's the Still Alive tune that GLaDOS sings at the end of Portal 1, and you can play it in Rock Band, Still Alive. So we were playing that. Because since I've been very small, play a game where I'm a space computer, and basically the space computer's voice, I mimic GLaDOS's voice. So he was like, oh, wow, look, it's the space computer. I said, this is the real space computer, Sam, this is GLaDOS. And she's from a game called Portal. And he goes, what's Portal? So I explained. I said, well, what happens is, imagine if you walk through, and I explained it. I said, imagine if you fired a gun at a wall and it made a portal, it made a door, and then you fired it at another wall and it made another door. And when you walked through one door, you came out of the other door. It's quite a hard concept to explain, really, to a little boy. And he was like, oh, it sounds really good, that. It sounds really good. And he sort of went on about it a bit. And I've had a code for Orange Box that I've had for months or years. But I haven't got Portal because I hadn't got it on my PC. I think I had it on my 360. So I was like, shall I redeem my code? I was saving the code. I don't know why. I've never redeemed this code. And I went, oh, it doesn't matter, forget it. So I redeemed my code because I knew that Portal was on it. And we started playing Portal together. So I showed him. And it's quite good, actually, because it starts off with bow zero portals. And then you can just use the blue portal, which is quite good. So it was a good pace. And then, got him on there and started... I was really thinking, this is just frustration waiting to happen, trying to explain these concepts to him, like such as the way that if you do a portal sort of deep down below you and then fall into it, and and then another portal on a wall, how the momentum will carry you through. And I thought I was trying to explain that, and it was hard. And then showing's a lot better. And then he was like, and then in the end, I just said, look, it's like spitting it out. I said, you go in there, it spits you out there. And he was like, oh yeah, it's a spit out portal. And he started to use the tools within the game well, and I was really impressed. So that was pretty good. So that's continuing his gaming training on Portal. But apart from that, I think that's about it. What about you? What have you been doing?
Well, on Saturday, I went to see Kong. The new King Kong movie. Yeah, so I went to see that at the IMAX, in my local IMAX. So I went to see IMAX 3D. So last week I saw Logan in 2D IMAX, but this one's 3D. And it was, do you know what? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, I was sitting halfway through the movie and I was like, I obviously really like monster movies. Because in my head I was thinking, I'm going to go home and because we've got Sky Movies Monsters at the moment. So I'm going to go home, I'm going to watch Cloverfield, I'm going to watch Godzilla. I'm just like, I got really into it. I was really kind of loving this movie, and it is it's kind of like a Full Metal Jacket Apocalypse Now meets kind of King Kong, and it's amazing. It's very stylized, but it pulls it off in a lot of ways. There are kind of lots of big shots and lots of these kind of almost throwback to kind of old Vietnam movies, some really good music, but it really pulls it off, and it's the effects in this movie, and this is one of the things that Nicola and I were talking about after the movie. We said, this is kind of one of the first movies where you just cannot see that these are effects at all. It just looked, from Kong to the other monsters to everything, it just blended so well with the actors, and it was just absolutely superb.
Brilliant. I saw the trailer and I thought it looked really good, as the trailer is designed to do, but I thought it looked really good. But then, as you know, I thought the Baywatch film looked really good from the trailer, which I still stick by. I still think it looks funny. So it was good. It was worth a watch. Was it better than, or can you not compare it to the Peter Jackson one?
I would say it's better, because it's really funny actually, because that was on the other day, King Kong, and I put it on and I stuck it on the TV, and that looks terrible now. There are bits with like Naomi Watts kind of running along and Kong's kind of next to her, and it looks really bad. It looks really, but I really liked that movie. I thought that was really good. I thought Naomi Watts and Kong, especially when she's kind of dancing and falling over and stuff, I just loved his reactions to her, and that was just absolutely fantastic. But this is a completely different. This is just a badass king. There's one bit where I can't spoil it, but there's just one bit where you just kind of, there's just this bit with two monsters just kind of duking it out, and you're just like, oh god, this is amazing. But the funniest thing was, so the credits rolled, and if anyone's going to see this after they've heard listen to the podcast, then you need to stay, because after the credits there is a post-credit, almost Marvel-esque scene. One word of advice: don't read the last credits either, because it gives it away. But because I saw it and I was like, oh, it's just given away what this end was. And I've been trying to keep myself from that. And then it just kind of, it just says a few things. I was like, damn it, I'm stupid, knowing and so anyway, so then it finished, the lights went up, I turned to Nicola, and I was hyper beyond hyper. I was like, oh my God, that was so awesome. And she just sat there, and it breaks my heart when she does this, but she sat there, she goes, that was terrible, like that. And I was like, what do you mean that was terrible? She was like, God, that was terrible. I think she was kind of a little bit, the
whole film, or just the bit at the end?
No, the whole film. She thought the whole film was terrible.
She don't pull the punches, does she?
No, absolutely. I tell you, as a critic, she would be like, terrible.
Merciless.
But the funny thing was, I think kind of, because when we went for something to eat afterwards, I think the whole kind of point of it was Tom Hiddleston was very much a poster boy in this movie. He was pouting a lot. There was lots of these shots, lots of him just staring. They were very much kind of playing to we've got Tom Hiddleston, so let's kind of just put him in all of these different poses. There was lots of that, and I think she was just was above that. She was like, it really frustrated me that they were just constantly just having these like posters of him. There was like kind of moments where he's just standing there, and I think that kind of got her back up. And after a while, and I think on Sunday when I was like, do you still hate it? Because I love it and I want to go and see it again, she was like, well, it wasn't that bad. So I think that kind of like, how stupid do they think we are, kind of instant reaction kind of came out. But no, I was just like, oh my God, it was such a fantastic movie. It really was.
Oh, excellent. I really like the look of it. As I said, it's funny because talking about the Peter Jackson one reminded me that I was never going to watch that, because it sort of, it came out and it was like, oh, King Kong, and I was like, yeah, whatever, King Kong, who cares, even though it was Peter Jackson. And then I played through the game. Was it PlayStation 2?
Xbox 360.
Was it 360 it came out on?
Because it had achievements, really easy achievements.
That's right. An easy 1,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was an early game, wasn't it, that came out with the 360. It wasn't a launch, but I think it was an early game. So anyway, I got it because I think there wasn't much to play at the time. So anyway, it was like, oh, we'll get this King Kong and have a go. I loved it that much. It was brilliant. It was such a good story game. Me and Claire were gripped by this game, like, completely. And I remember saying to her, we'll get up on a Saturday morning and say, oh, what do you want to do? She's like, let's play King Kong. Kong, I want to watch it. And we enjoyed that adventure.
That's really cool.
I'd forgotten about this, but in a way that I can barely remember enjoying and getting gripped by something, because it was so unexpected, because I hadn't read any reviews, didn't know anything about this game, just got it. I sort of read that it was okay. I think I knew it had an easy cheesy 1,000, so I didn't expect much from it at all. And we got in this boat and sort of sailed to the island, and it conjured an atmosphere, and as I say, it gripped not only me but Claire as well. And I played it and enjoyed it like a movie, and Claire watched the whole thing like a movie. And after that, we finished the game. It was like, what should we do now? We're going to go and see King Kong. So then we watched the film, and we thoroughly enjoyed that as well. We were like, oh, Damon, I'm so glad.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Is it really long? Like, because the Peter Jackson one's sort of like ages up to the island, and then a whole piece on the island, and then you get back afterwards. It's quite a long film. Is this one quite long as well to fit all that?
No, I mean, you literally see King Kong in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Oh, okay, wow.
You literally just see this kind of like, he's instantly introduced, and then it kind of instantly cuts to something going, right, we found this uncharted island, we need to get there, and then they get there, and then you see Kong like straight away, and it's very much kind of like the new Godzilla movie rather than the old one, where it took time to build up. This is just like, yep, there you go, there's the monster. We can now render these monsters freely, so we don't have to hold the suspense anymore.
Our budget doesn't matter, so we can have the whole film with the monster
exactly.
instead of just the last like half an hour.
The monster's going to play every part, including the ones that we were going to have for Kevin Spacey.
Look how versatile the monster is.
Yeah, the monster's now a thespian. And so it's literally like, here's King Kong, boom, straight away. And it's just, I really enjoyed it. I thought it's like 2.5 hours long, maybe. And I was just, oh God, I was just blown away by it. I just thought, and it was really cool. But the funniest thing was, and I'm not sure if I have actually done this, but as we came out of the movie, as we came out of the cinema, I was like, I can't believe you don't like it. No, was really kind of almost offended by it. I was like, I can't believe you didn't like it. She goes, I tell you, she goes, that's it. I'm not going to go and see those movies anymore. And I was like, what about Beauty and the Beast next week? And she was like, no, you've ruined your chance now. You can't go and see that either. And I was like, wow. So I've blown my Beauty and the Beast card. So which I was saving because I really want to go and see it. And Nicola does not want to go and see Beauty and the Beast in IMAX 3D. But I do. Who doesn't love Emma Watson singing? She's a monster. She's a monster inside.
I'm siding with Nicola.
Oh, shut up! It's
tablet
Hermione, for Christ's sake. You know,
did you hear the zip on the bag during King Kong and the iPad came out? Did it? Just doing the emails.
Yeah. Start playing Switch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Anthony. Chuck a Zelda over here, will you?
Yeah. I've just found another dungeon. So there was that. So I went to see Keycold, which was fantastic. And then, I think yesterday or the day before, but I was in a beta. The PlayStation 4 new firmware came out. So it was a 4.5 release. And there was one thing that we talked about previous podcasts that I just wanted to have a go of, and that was watching 3D movies using your PlayStation VR. So using the HMD, as you would say, sir, using the HMD, you can watch 3D movies. Now, I used to be a big advocate of 3D movies, especially with my old 4K TV. I could use those cinema glasses. But now my one needs kind of those passive or active glasses, and I haven't got any. So I was like, I really miss 3D, so I'm going to give it a try. Thinking that it would be a bit blurry, thinking it would probably make me sick. I was really blown away by it. So you put the HMD on, fire up I put Monsters U. I put Monsters U and also Pacific Rim. I thought both of those would give me a bit of 3D-ness. So because I've got loads of 3D Blu-rays. So I put on Pacific Rim and Monsters U. And you know what? It was really good. And I just sat there watching Pacific Rim and a bit of Monsters U with the 3D headphones on. So I had my headphones, and then I had the HMD, and I was really happy. I was just sitting there like, I was just going to do it just to try it, see what it was like, to talk about it maybe on the pod. But I ended up just sitting back on the sofa, and it was like being in the cinema. But there was no one around or their phones or spoiling it for you. It was really nice.
How did it portray it? Did it make it look like a cinema? Because some of them that I've done on my Vive, they'll make you look like you're in different locations or whatever. So it's like a cinema, is it?
Oh no, this is just a ginormous screen, and the rest is black.
And can you resize the screen, or is it a fixed?
No, it's a fixed width, and it's ginormous. Because like Nicola was actually saying that she could do with maybe some, because I showed it to her, and she was like, "Oh, this is really good." Cool. And she was like, "Oh, you could just do with some heads. You could do with some like heads in front of you, to make it look like a real cinema."
Yeah, that would be cool. Oh wow! Oh my god, it looked really good, and so it played well. It didn't get blurry in the action sequences. It just looked good, did it?
No, it did. It looked surprisingly sharp. It looked really good. I don't know if, like, in the latest build, in this 4.5, I don't know if it's actually been given a bit of a graphical bump, because they did say, especially with the PlayStation 4 Pro, that it is kind of giving you extra frames. So they are kind of giving you extra frames with the PSVR. And I was blown away. I would happily watch a whole movie using that, because I think after a while, the fact that you've got a head-mounted device on just disappears. You're just sitting there and you're enjoying the movie, especially if it's a brand new movie you hadn't seen before. And I was really impressed. I was really impressed at the 3D-ness of the PlayStation VR.
Wow, that's nice, that. Especially, because they can deliver movies digitally as well. They could do that straight onto PSVR, couldn't they? Buy a film, watch it straight away.
Absolutely. I don't know if you can get 3D movies via the PlayStation, because obviously PlayStation Video or whatever it's called, you can stream them straight from there, or you can just put a Blu-ray disc in. But yeah, because I've got a whole catalogue, so I was like, I might watch, and I started going through the movies that I could potentially watch again. I might stick on Avatar, because that was the one that convinced Nicola that 3D movies were worth a watch, because all of their little creatures, the woodland creatures, were popping out. Yeah. So I might stick that on to just see if they do the same we're using the PlayStation VR.
The only thing I've got with this is that it's great on the Vive as well. I put it on and I was like, wow. I think I put Roadhouse on or something. No, it wasn't 3D. I'm not sure if it supports 3D. I haven't tried it. I think it might. Don't know. So I was just watching, normal stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, look at this screen. It's amazing. And on that, you could sort of you could resize the screen. I mentioned it another time. You could walk around and have it follow you like in HoloLens, but obviously it's not AR. But I was like, this is demon. I could totally watch a film. And then it hit me. It's like, well, what if I was back to my sort of 14, 13-year-old self when I used to sit in my room playing my computer all day because I was on my own, or with from friends. But I did a lot of gaming just on my own. Sounds sad, doesn't it? But that would be perfect because I had no responsibilities. I could just sit and watch a film with guilt-free. And I just kind of thought the only bad thing is that it would be amazing to watch a film in this sort of VR theatre, but Claire can't watch it with me. Sam can't watch it with me, so I'm on my own. It's like this is only for me, and that was the one drawback. And it's kind of like I wish there was a way that we all had a headset and we could all share this experience together. I'm sure that'll come, but that was the one drawback for me. It's kind of like, this is amazing, but it's very much a very personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I like it because Nicola's sitting next to me. She's playing Lego Star Wars, and I can just sit there. I can play on the small TV. I can undock the Switch and sit at the back, sit and play it just in the undocked mode. Or I can just stick a movie on, and I quite liked it. It's quite nice,
Yeah,
It's quite...
you can do that. Yeah, you think you're on the big TV. Well, look at this. Yeah, exactly. I've got it all in here.
Exactly. I mean, the only bad thing which I found is it's really hard to drink a drink while you're watching a movie. So I had to get a straw.
Yeah.
So I had to get a straw, and I didn't try eating popcorn, but I'm sure that's going to be equally as hard.
Maybe there's a niche there. Maybe there's a gap in the market for some kind of straw to consume popcorn with.
Yeah, it's a nice big thick chunky straw that just kind of brings it up and pops the kernels as it's going up through it. But anyway, so that's kind of what I've been doing this week. Let's jump into what we've been playing. So Daz, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing still on Heavenly Sword 2. Oh, sorry, I mean Horizon Zero Dawn. Still enjoying that. Yeah, it just hit me that I was like, this could be Heavenly Sword 2, in a way. So I've been enjoying that still. What's this third week I've been talking about it? Oh, no, last week. Second week. Yeah, that's right. I got it sort of after when you first talked about it, I got it the next day, didn't I? So yeah, still enjoying it. Not really much else to say. It's a great game. If you have the means and you have a PS4, I would recommend playing it. It's really good, lovely, beautiful game. I've made some progress in the story, but I don't feel that I should share it because I don't want to spoil stuff. You find out, it does reference the title in the game as you get further on. I've not found out exactly what that means at the moment, but there's been some hints about the title is tied into the story, which it should be, because it's a bit of a weird title, and it'd be a bit weird if it was just an arbitrary title that wasn't in the story, because otherwise you could just call it, I don't know, Arrow Shoot Immense or something like that. So yeah, really enjoying that. Anything else to say about Zero Dawn? I had a fight with two rock breakers the other day. I was going off on my merry way to follow a quest line into a new area, and all of a sudden I ended up in a corrupted zone, and I looked at a great stamping noise. Like, what's that? It sounds worse than anything I've ever seen before. Look round, new enemy or new machine, rock breaker. Ooh. It looked so fierce, and It was sort of drilling into the sand, almost like a sandworm off Dune. It wasn't as big, but it did have a sort of a mouth that sort of opened into 4 sections, into quarters, but obviously machine-esque. And it had all drill bits all over it, and it essentially looked like its job was to drill into the rocks, drill into the ground for, I don't know why, it's the way it passes its time. Anyway, it saw me. I was like, oh crikey, let's try this, let's have a go. I'd analysed its weak spots, so I was like, come on, let's have a go. All of a sudden, another rock breaker comes in, its mate. You got 2 of them, and these guys were colossal. And needless to say, I perished. But I did find a bonfire nearby, saved the game, and then with the sort of that crutch of the bonfire, I started again a few times and used different tactics to take them out, concentrating on one, concentrating on the other. Really enjoyable battle with these guys. It was really good. It was really good. It really makes you take note of what your weapons do, and what their armour weak points are. So if you really got to look and you think, right, okay, that's susceptible to break, so I'll use my not not precision arrow. I've forgotten what there's an arrow anyway that does a lot of breaking armour damage that I've got, and it's like, right, I'll use that, but that's really slow to load into the bow. So like load 3 behind a rock, jump out, poof, and then if you hit it just right, I love that sound effect you get. It kind of goes doom, and then the part flies off, and you're like, yes, but then they see you. You're like, no, hide behind the rock. Please go about your business. And then hopefully they don't kill you, and then just sort of like kept doing that. It was an awesome battle. Really loved it. So yeah, I've been enjoying fighting the different machines, seeing new machines, and getting deeper into the story. I think I'm not sure what percent I am on it. I haven't had a look, but
right.
I think I'm trying to complete. This is really bad because I'm trying to sort of. I feel I'm rushing it a little bit because Andromeda's around the corner.
Mm.
And I want to play Andromeda, and Persona 5's around the corner. You know, we've said that a lot of times, but I feel that once one of those comes out, I'll just want them. So I really want to get this done before they come out, so that I don't sort of just feel like I have to drop it. I don't want to drop it.
Mm. Did you see? I think I tweeted it out from our Lost Spark account. But did you see the Thunder Jaws that some guy had made from Lego?
Oh wow! Yeah, it's so cool, man.
They were incredible. I just thought they were just absolutely.
I saw some tall necks made of Lego as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think that they were sent to
Hideo.
Yeah.
But I was just really impressed by it. This guy's got this whole Tumblr or Instagram of these models that he makes out of Lego, and there was some from Horizon, there was some from Titanfall. I'll stick a link in the show notes because they're absolutely superb. They're really cool. I was really impressed. Yeah,
please do. It'd be nice to see that again. It lends itself quite well doing sort of like machines, doesn't it, to Lego? Like the tall necks look really awesome. Those. What were they called again? Those, not Jawbreakers. What were they called?
Thunderjaw.
Thunderjaws. I had a million machines going through me. I was thinking Sawtooth. No, that's it. Thunderjaws. Yeah, they're pretty mean as well. I fought them. They're all mean, these machines. They do my head in. I haven't found any new places to sort of unlock more overrides at the moment, so I feel quite weak in front of them all. I always have to fight them. So at the moment, I'm thinking, I don't want to fight. I just want to get to my objective. So I will go round, sort of circumvent the machines a little bit. Because I'm just like, sometimes it's kind of just like, I just want to get where I'm going. Because if you stopped and fought every machine, you'd never get anywhere. There's loads of them littered about, grazing and stuff. So, I caught some salmon. That was good. And some trout. I didn't realise there was fish. There's fish in the rivers.
Right.
So I caught some of them because I needed some of fish bones to upgrade some of my carrying pouches. And I was like, oh, you need a fish bone. I was like, oh, that's weird, a fish bone. So I did your focus view on a river. And there you go. You could see the fish swimming up and down. Shot one. It was like, oh, salmon. I was like, oh, wow. That's really cool. Nice touch. And unlike most first iterations of a game, you can swim straight away, can't you? Remember in the old days when you sort of had to wait for a sequel to swim?
Yes, indeed. I mean, so did you take them and go and cook them by a bonfire and then make an elixir? Oh no, that's the game I've been playing.
No, I didn't. But you could please talk to me about Zelda, though.
I will do the bow, but they just sound so the same, don't they? It's just so good.
Yeah, it's a great time. Well, yeah, it's a great time for open world games, but space it out. We could have had. If the Switch had been delayed a bit, I'd have probably
space it out like a nod to Mass Effect's Andromeda.
yeah.
Space it out. That should be their tagline. Space it out.
Space it out. Mass Effect Andromeda, space it out. Well, do space it out. Let's have Horizon Zero Dawn. Give us a month or so. Give us 6 weeks. Then drop the Switch. And then give everybody 6 weeks. Then drop Mass Effect. Give everyone 6 weeks. Then drop Persona 5. And give everyone 6 weeks. What month are we on then?
Yeah,
we've probably cleared the summer games drought, and then you've got all the games that we're waiting for towards the back end of the year waiting for us. Then that'd be awesome, a nice bit of pace. But at the moment, it's like, I got to finish Horizon today. We're done. Oh, what am I going to play next? Will it be Andromeda? Will it be Persona? Oh, what if I rush Horizon and then for Mass Effect, but Mass Effect doesn't feel as good, and then I've sort of like ruined it for myself. all these terrible questions. It's a hard life, isn't it?
But I tell you what, the one interesting thing, because obviously, I was all in for Horizon Zero Dawn. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. But then I dropped it like a bad smell when Zelda came out, and I'm okay with that. I missed the game. I want to get back to the game, but I know it's there and I know it's waiting for me. But at the moment, and I don't know if it's just because I've been kind of dodging it and haven't looked, but I haven't seen any spoilers. I've seen a couple of sites maybe going, to unlock everything, kind of like, no, scroll past that. I don't care. And I haven't seen anything for Zelda either. I haven't seen any kind of huge spoilers for Zelda. So I think, I think the internet is appreciating that it's a very packed time and being very respectful on all of those things. But you're right, I'll get to Mass Effect Andromeda in the news, but that's the same for me. I'm seriously thinking about kind of Zeldaing it until Mass Effect comes out, and then taking Zelda on the road for when I go to like Manchester and London, and when I go on holiday, and then kind of just Zelda that for just on the road and play Mass Effect Andromeda at home, because I'm really interested in that. And I love space and I love sci-fi, and it's just like, oh my god, you're right. There is just so much to kind of push and pull you.
Yeah, it is the best of times and the worst of times. With such terrible choices to make, but no, it's fantastic. It's a great thing to moan about, isn't it?
And every game just looks, okay. Well, not every game looks better than the other one, because obviously Horizon Zero Dawn looks better than Zelda. But Mass Effect Andromeda, the stuff that I've been seeing for that, it looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I am a bit worried about that actually, because I put Horizon on last night, and I put it on because I probably wanted to play something else, but I thought I got this urgency with it, so I put it on. But as soon as I started, I was like, wow, how could I not have wanted to put it on? I don't know if that makes sense. It's like I wasn't in the mood for it really.
Yeah.
I was going to play something more quick, quick blast of Rezo gun, quick one of this, quick one of that. But I put it on because I felt, like I said, that I want to get through it. It's like, let's put it on because it's a massive sprawling adventure. But the minute that it loaded up, honestly, I was like, wow, how could I have ever doubted you, sort of thing. It was like, what kind of fool are you, Daz? This is the best game. It's the best game you've got. It's awesome. How would you even think? I think it was just because I didn't want to get bogged down. You can't really play it for just 2 minutes.
No.
But as soon as it came on, oh my goodness me, I went from like one biome to another biome. It was all snowy. And at night time hit, and I was in the river, avoiding some machines, looking for some fish, like you do. And the moonlight was shining on the river at night, and it was all blue and it looked amazing, man, with the snow and the sort of blue light, sort of like like the northern lights in the air, and the moon just shining down. And I was like, crikey, this is amazing. And I was thinking, would this be a game that I would put on in the future, because it's just such a pure joy to play? Because I can imagine with this game, when you finish the story, I don't think it's going to have that much consequence on the fun of the game. You could basically there's so much to do. As long as you enjoy what there is on offer. I presume this is like Zelda. As long as you enjoy what there is on offer in the open world, which is, for me, I suppose the main bit of it is battling with machines, stealthing up to them, giving yourself little things to do, attacking bandit camps, though I think there's only so many of those. But the actual meat of the combat with the machines, which they always get regenerated, all over the map. So there's always going to be something to do, or a challenge that you can make yourself. I was kind of like, could this go on forever? And it made me think about whether I should keep the game forever or get rid of it. Usually I would get rid of a game. So yeah, I think that says how much I love this. But I'll get back to my original point. The reason that I was worrying was it dropped my jaw once again. Every time I put it on, it drops my jaw. It's like, oh, it's so beautiful, amazing, it's so fluid. And I was thinking, yeah, so I want Mass Effect. And I was just thinking, it's going to be hard, because this is a new benchmark. Am I going to be sort of thinking, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll still, hopefully, if the game's good, I still love the game. Graphics isn't everything, but I just thought in the back of my mind, am I going to be thinking, yeah, well, it's sort of all been surpassed by Horizon Zero Dawn now. I wonder if that's going to be like that for a while. Until the next big thing is, because Mass Effect's never been really known for its graphical finesse so much. It's always been passable or even good, but never like mind blowing. So maybe just because I know that, I'll be okay. But I just thought, have I got used to better things now? You know, am I going to be thinking, this is no good? But that will just depend on how good the actual game is, isn't it? And the story and the characters and all the rest of it in that game.
Absolutely. But, you know, some of the content that I've seen around Mass Effect, it really does look quite stunning. And it's running HDR on Xbox One S and also PlayStation Pro as well. So you do have that extra HDR-ness on both platforms. I don't know if the PlayStation Pro is giving it any kind of extra bump.
Yeah, I think it's going to get a bit of 4K goodness. I saw a YouTube video, and I'm sure it was from PlayStation, and the developers were talking over it, and they were saying, yeah, basically, you should be watching this trailer on a 4K TV. It's in 4K. That's the way you should be watching this trailer. He said, obviously, the game's going to be great on vanilla PlayStation as well. He said, but we're going to make this into a 4K experience for 4K gamers too. And I watched that video on YouTube. You should look it up. Just do Mass Effect 4K. And it does look beautiful. It really does. But it's quite limited in it's quite a dark environment that they're doing it in. So it was difficult to gauge it, and I just thought, oh, Horizon's so beautiful. But it's not about just beauty, is it? That's only skin deep. It's about the game. Yeah. So, but it was just kind of like, Rush 1, will the next one be good? But I've always loved Mass Effect. I did all the three other ones, and I think people have their favourites with Mass Effect. So a lot of people like 2. A lot of people say, 1 wasn't that great. And yeah, I suppose, they did have their quirks and stuff, but I liked them all. I like them all. I like the ending that they gave me. Controversial. Nobody liked the ending. I quite like the ending that I picked. And I was all right with the whole thing. I just really loved it. I loved it from the trailer. From the trailer for Mass Effect 1, I was on board with Mass Effect, and I loved them all. Interestingly, though, I'm not as hyped about this as I expected to be. Maybe because they've been so upfront about that this is a completely separate adventure. It's what happened in Mass Effect, that's one thing, that's closed. This is new. I don't know. I've not been anywhere near as hyped up about this iteration of Mass Effect as the last ones. But now it's getting closer. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm kind of glad, because I prefer to anticipate with a few weeks to go than have years of waiting.
That's so cool. It's actually going to be available. I think when we probably post this pod, which is on the Thursday, it's going to be available on both EA Access and is it EA Origin Access as well. So if you kind of pay for those subscription models for the EA Access or the Origin Access, then they're actually going to give it. I think there's about a 5-hour demo that you can play. So you get, not only do you get early access, but you actually get to play the first 5 hours of Mass Effect as well, which is quite interesting. So you can, if you're a EA Access member on the Xbox One, you can actually just start playing it. You can buy it, and it will. I think they've started to. The pre-orders have started to download. I saw kind of on Twitter today that people were saying that they're suddenly getting kind of notifications that Mass Effect Andromeda started to download for those people that have bought it digitally. And like I say, if you're an EA Access member, it's going to start unlocking in about 2 days' time, which is quite exciting, really. Yeah,
well, you've got EA Access, haven't you?
I have. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a go. But like
have a look.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look, see what it's like. I want to play it on Xbox. So I've always played Mass Effect on Xbox. I've played Mass Effect 2 and 3 on Xbox, on an Xbox console. So I really want to kind of play this on Xbox. But obviously that 4K kind of does pull me over to the PlayStation a little bit. But I'm really kind of, I've got to stand firm and go on to the Xbox.
Why?
Because I just like it, because I want to, because I think Nicola's going to be playing it as well, and she's trying to finish up Lego. She's trying 100% Lego Star Wars. So
just get her on Lego Worlds. That came out the other day.
Yeah, no, she doesn't want that, but she likes playing she's playing the Star Wars game, always finished that. And then what we did with Mass Effect 2 was we played it together. We played separate. She was Fem Shep, I was Male Shep, I was Default Shep, Bro Shep. And we just played it, and it was really quite nice, because we just sat there like chatting about what we were doing, and she was always having a go at kind of how bad I was, and that she was doing a lot of the side missions, and I was just going straight out main mission it. So that was quite cool. But so I want to get it on Xbox, so we can both just kind of sit and play it together on Xbox.
Oh, okay. See, I don't think I'd ever have an allegiance like that. I'd just play it where it was best. So if I was you, I would be playing it on the PlayStation Pro, because you've got the best hardware. If there is a bump, I would I'd have to go there, I think.
Yeah, but you have to think about my gaming setup. Who gets the big TV? Not me. So I don't get the 4K TV.
So it doesn't matter anymore.
I get the vanilla TV.
You just need a new TV. Stuart, are you listening?
Yeah, Stuart. Well, he's going to hook me up anyway. But there's
you need hooking up.
I do. I need that. There is the. I'm not going to get the HDR. I'm not going to get that. So I might as well just kind of play it on there. But every now and then, when Nicola's gone to bed, or I've made her sleepy, I can then play it on the big TV. So that's I cannot wait. It's very exciting. Like I say, it could be that new shiny that pulls me away from Zelda. But the great thing about the Switch, the awesomeness of the Switch, is that I can then take that when I go to Manchester and I've got like 4 hours of gaming on a Monday, and then come home and then play more Mass Effect. So I might be able to juggle these two mammoth games.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy. And that's what the Switch is for, isn't it?
It really is.
Console, mobile gaming for Zelda. And basically almost unlimited fun with that. A bit like I was saying about Horizon. As long as you're enjoying the world, you could just banter around in that world for as long as you want, on the train, on holiday, in the middle of important meetings, whenever you can. Really.
I don't do that. How dare you, sir? How dare you? You know how I'm instantly offended, like I've done that.
No, I haven't. What are you saying?
I haven't done that. What are you talking about? You can see me. But it's really cool, actually, because with the Switch, I'm finding that, say, for instance, like we've been watching TV, we've watched a movie, and then we go to bed. I'll just grab the Switch and I'll put it in its case, and I'll bring it with me upstairs, and then I find that I could just, maybe while Nicola's bluting or doing something like that I can just do a quick shrine. I can go and hunt for a shrine, find that shrine, maybe do that puzzle, or go and cook something or prepare. Now I'm right now in Horizon. Right now in the Breath of the Wild, it's an easy slip. Right now I am just taking on my first dungeon for it, so I don't spoil it. We'll call it dungeon. I'm just taking on my first dungeon in Zelda, and I've done all of the puzzly things, and now I've got to take out the boss that's in this dungeon, and he is driving me bonkers. So I found myself the other night, while I was just kind of waiting to go to bed and stuff, that I was just going off into the Zora Citadel, and I was just finding arrows, and I was making some recipes, so I had plenty of health. I was just doing a couple of side quests to maybe try and kind of level me up a little bit more, and I was just doing all of that, and I was just really enjoying it. And I found that even though I knew that I had to go back to that dungeon and finish what I've started, it was okay to just kind of go around and maybe find some more of those nut things, and get some more, try and find some more weapons, because when I've been trying to take out this boss, my bow and arrow, I've got about 4, and they've been breaking quite quickly, so I need to try and find some stronger bow and arrows. So I've been trying to find some the blobkins or whatever they're called. I've been trying to find those, and I just found that, like as you were saying with Horizon Zero Dawn, that Zelda's allowing me to just play these mini games, and I've almost like kind of got my own quest going, right, okay, Nicola's going to be about 20 minutes, I'm going to go and find a shrine. I've seen a couple, I've marked them on my map, so I'm going to quickly travel near, go and do that shrine, and do that. Yeah. And then I'm loving it because, like an iPad, like PlayStation Vita, you just turn it off and it goes into rest mode. So I will then, quickly go into blue, come back, brush my teeth, come back, sit in bed, turn it back on again, off I go. And
You're not taking it in there yet?
No, it's still not going into the bathroom. It doesn't need to see that. It doesn't need to see that.
You could play it in the bath. You could be in the bath, sprawled out, playing it.
I would be there for hours. I'd be like a prune. So I'm just like so Zelda has really kind of the whole kind of, because what I was finding was, it's quite funny because I reached out to James, friend of the show Manny, and friend of the show Matt, and I just reached out to the guys and go, have any of you found a dungeon yet? Because I'm just still kind of getting sidetracked, and I found myself just going, right, okay, I'm going to go towards that dungeon area, I need to go there, and then I'm like, oh, okay, you want me to do this for you? And I was just instantly getting sidetracked, and it's quite nice because the guys came back and said, no, we haven't either. We're still doing that. I'm like, phew, it's not just me, and it was just, and it was really cool. The build up to the first dungeon, the Zora dungeon, or not the first dungeon, but the Zora dungeon, they're the watery creatures. The build up to that first one is incredible, and there's this whole sequence, and I think I tweeted it over the weekend, but it felt like a Studio Ghibli movie. it really felt like I was playing a Ghibli movie, and it was just incredible. You know, it looks a bit like a Ghibli movie.
It does look a bit like a Ghibli movie.
It does. It looks a bit like Ni no Kuni, you know, kind of like. But this was all about betrayal, and as you're building up and getting up to the Zora Mountain, the story was fantastic, and I was just like, I'm loving this game, you know. And I just was like, I was really loving it. So it was absolutely fantastic. So I know I've kind of jumped into what I'm playing. We'll get back to you, but just the Zelda, I'm just absolutely loving it, and this really, it's got its hooks into me just as much now as when I first fired it up, if not even more so, because it's drawing me into this rich world.
Brilliant. Well, I just think that's really cool, amazing. It says a lot for the game, and it makes me. I'm just glad that the Switch is working. It's really good. With the dungeon, you said like you got to a boss and then you sort of backtracked a bit. And is it designed that you'd have to sort of battle your way through the dungeon again?
No.
Or can you just sort of walk straight to the boss when you leave because you've got to him already and you've done whatever hard work that it took you to get to him?
Well, yeah, I've done the puzzle part of the dungeon. So I've done all the puzzle that you had to do. There was a puzzle. There was lots of switches and things like that I had to do. Not Nintendo switches, but there was like switches. So I've done a lot of that. Unlocked all of that and unlocked this area, and then when you go into this area, that's when the boss appears. Now when he kills you, and he's done that about 10 times, when he kills you, it takes you just outside when you go into that room. So what that also does, it allows me to leave that area, go around the map wherever I want to go, and then I can then just fast travel back to that point again.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good.
So what I've been doing is going out, getting more arrows, like I say, maybe going to a shrine and increasing the amount of hearts that I have, and then making sure I've got enough food, going back, travelling back to that point, and then saving it, and then going into the boss. So if he kills me, I go back to that point where I'm fully stocked up, and that's where I've left it. That's what I tried to play just before the pod, but then I was like, oh no, gotta go pod. So I'm going to do that after, you know, because I'm now fully tooled up. I've got enough bows, I've got enough arrows. I should be able to do this now.
Cool. That's how it should be done, and it's great because it takes away that stress that you think, oh man, if I don't beat him now, I've got to, you know, do all this stuff again to get to him, and then just to get this again. So that's quite nice. That I hear the combat is pretty challenging in the game.
Oh, honestly, I've heard it. Some people have said it's akin to Dark Souls in places.
Yeah,
you know.
Zelda Souls.
And I think like James and I was chatting about last week. There was a place that I went to, the kind of desert land, where I went over there and just the normal bad guys were like one shot killing me, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't be here yet. So I'm going to backtrack over to the other side of the map. So it really does kind of, if you kind of walk the wrong way, it will punish you for doing that. And I think then it's just really good. Sometimes I'm finding it challenging, a bit like you with Horizon Zero Dawn. Sometimes I am just going past. There was this giant troll just asleep in the long grass, and I woke him up and he just pummeled me with a tree, and so when I kind of regenerated, I was just like, I'm just going to creep by you. You know, I need to get over there, so I'm going to press down on the left thumbstick so I crouch, and I'm going to do it nice and slow so my sound meter doesn't fill up, and I'm just going to go in the long grass and you're not going to see me. And I just thought, I'm going to come back, and then what I did was I actually kind of fired up my map and I put a marker where he was. So I'm like, when I'm done with this Zora world, I'm coming back for you. His cards are marked. I'm coming back for him. He took me out once. I'm coming back, and I'm bringing fire arrows. You know, so it was just, I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving this game, and it's just so nice to just be just in this game, in this Zelda game, and I'm just I want to play it more on the big TV because, and I know you and James poked fun at me last week, but I am enjoying the Pro Controller a lot, so I want to play it more on the big TV. But like I say, Nicola's kind of, she's got her eyes set on that 1,000 achievements on Star Wars, so at the moment I'm playing a lot of it kind of undocked.
Ah, okay. It's brilliant though, because this is the beauty of a game that's a true classic, isn't it? That I can just imagine you at night or whenever, when you're not playing the Switch, you know, you've got some bit of downtime, maybe you're just dropping off at night, and I could just imagine, if you're anything like me, you'd be plotting that like we were thinking, it's like, right, Now, yeah, okay, so I'll go back there, I'll sneak round, I'll have this, I'll use that weapon, I'll try that, the sort of thing, and then you're just itching to have a go. The bad thing about the Switch is it could be under your pillow and you could just whip it out and stay up till 3 in the morning doing it.
Or, as I've been doing, I've been waking up at like kind of, 5:30, because I'm old and I need to pee. And then as I go back to bed, I'm like, I'll just play Switch. And I've just like got my Switch out and I'm just like playing it. So I'm just like, oh, this has to stop. Because before I would get up at 5:30 and I'd go down to the movie room and play a game. But now it's just so easy. I can just sit there and I can just, with no sound. And that's the only thing that's stopping me doing that sometimes, because I've got the sound turned down. And the sound in Zelda is gorgeous. It's really nice. And also, they've actually got vocals as well. There are some of the kind of the prince, the Zora prince, is actually kind of he's actually got a voice. He's not just noises. It's not just like kind of banjo noises. He's actually talking.
Yeah, it's quite a revelation for the Zelda series. There's a few speaking parts, isn't there? Zelda speaks, doesn't she? As well, at some point, or does she not? Or is that a spoiler?
Oh, probably a spoiler, dude. Zelda's in this game. What?
There you go. You gotta be worried then. But yeah, there's a bit of speaking. I think Link's mute as always, but there's several bits where probably cutscenes, I presume, where they all have a good chat.
Yeah, and it's quite nice because in this Zelda game, they didn't ask you to kind of name you, because they normally go, oh, what do we call you? And you put something in. Well, I always put Link anyway, because I think I played it once as Chessman, and I was like, no, that just doesn't sound right. I want to be Link. So I changed it. But one nice thing before I move on, I know you've got some other games you've been playing, but one nice thing was I saw in an article on Bleeding Cool, which is a website that I frequent, is that Iwata-san, who tragically died a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, he's actually in the game. They have immortalized him in the game, and you'll find him, he's one of the NPCs that just kind of walk around. You'll find him by the outskirts stables. I haven't found him yet, I haven't seen him yet, but he's just wandering around the outskirts stables, and he tells you about the dangers that are in Satori Mountain and the Lord of the Mountain. So it's a really nice little kind of, and he really looks like him from the screenshots. I'll put a link in the show notes, but I thought it was just a really nice little touch.
Yeah, it's a beautiful tribute, isn't it?
It really is.
He had a lot to do with the Switch. I don't know how much he had to do with Breath of the Wild, but I imagine quite a lot. And yeah, it's great to see him immortalised in there, isn't it? Forever. Really nice.
It really is. It's absolutely lovely. So so I'm going to try. I saw this and I thought, no, I'm going to try and find this and see if I can see and just kind of talk to him and see what happens when you talk to him.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear it. I think I saw something somewhere else as well, and he recommended, or the character talks about a mount that you can get in the game. And said that the mount sort of watches over the people, and it sounded as if that was also a bit of a tribute, as if that was the creature personified of Iwata.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then I may have interpreted it wrong. I'm not sure, and then they showed not just the character, but underneath they showed Zelda riding on this like glowing steed. I think it might have been a bit like a unicorn, but it was all fluorescent and glowing and stuff, and it was like, oh wow. So it's kind of the spirit version as well, and I was like, oh wow, that's amazing.
Are you sure you didn't dream this?
Well, it might have been a dream.
And then I was on the back and I flew and it was amazing. But yeah,
I knew I shouldn't have watched Never Ending Story really late at night.
And I met my first Goron, and they're my favourite. They're my favourite characters in Zelda.
They're the ones that roll up into a ball.
Yeah, they're the big rock creatures. And I met my first Goron. He was in the Zora, and so I took a selfie, because you can take selfies in this game with your little iPad.
Switch.
And
Switch. It's not an iPad. It's a Switch.
It's really cool. And so I just took a little. I took a selfie with us, and it was just really cool. I really liked it. So yeah, the Goron is. So I can't wait to hopefully maybe they must have a kingdom here with another dungeon. So I'm looking forward to kind of finding that, because that was always my favourite place to go.
Cool. Oh wow, yeah. You're talking about that, and I'm seeing a jumble of Gorons from different Zelda games in my mind as you say it, because I can't obviously I can't see what you're talking about, so my mind's replacing it with different Zelda games and different Gorons.
Awesome. So we've been flip-flopping over what we've both been playing, but what else have you been playing, Daz?
I had a bit of dabble with the PlayStation Plus game Disc Jam.
Oh, what's it like?
Yeah, it's pretty good, you know. It's pretty good. It's by, I had a little look about it. It's by High Horse Entertainment, right? This is a two-man team who've put this together.
Right.
For quite a while they've been working on it, you know, as you'd expect. And I just thought, you know something, something about the game. I thought this might be a good multiplayer game. Maybe like Rocket League. It might have that Rocket League dynamic, even though it's not cars. It's, how can I explain it? Well, it's just kind of like racquetball, I suppose. But you throw a disc to each other. A disc is sort of supercharged.
Right.
If you miss the disc and it hits the floor, I suppose it's like
windjammers.
Volleyball. Yeah, windjammers, I suppose, volleyball. So you can't miss the disc. So you throw it to each other, trying to outfox the other guy. If it hits the floor, it hits the back of the net, the touchdown zone, at the back of the area. It's not a net. Then there's a big boom because it's sort of electrified, and you score. The longer you keep a rally going for, the higher the points go as well. So say you start, it'll fire the disc at whoever's losing. So it fires a disc at you, and it'll start like you're playing for 10 points. But if you keep the rally going, for every sort of clever catch you do or clever save, the points will start stacking up, which is quite good.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, it is. So you got you against. I haven't played 2 against 2. I've only played 1 against 1, and most of that was training. And there's quite a bit of training to do. It took me a while to do the training because it's really split second to do the advanced stuff. I was starting to think, crikey, is the lag on my TV rubbish or am I rubbish? And I was really hoping that I was rubbish because I didn't want it to be the lag. I could try and fix myself. I didn't really want to try it. Well, there's nothing I could do about the TV apart from get a new one. I didn't want that headache. But anyway, I sort of got to grips with it. Because if you sort of, when the disc's coming towards you, if you return it with like hit X straight away, then you get like a supercharge on the disc, and so it goes faster. It changes colour. It goes faster. May score you a bit more points, and it definitely increases the points that you're playing for anyway for the rally. And there's a load of other little tricky stuff you can do as you catch it. A bit like, I suppose, I'm not really a big football gaming fan, but I suppose it's akin to the way that you put swerve on a ball in a FIFA game, where you hit the kick button and then you move the stick at the same time, to do all these sort of fancy jiggery pokery.
Yep.
It's a bit like that. So I was trying to do these, and it won't let you advance till you've done it, and I was just like getting really frustrated, going, I can't do this swerve on the blooming disc, it's doing my head in. But I got there eventually. Then I had a few games online, and something, it's just really, it's really well put together. I really enjoyed it. It's got a good competitive spirit. The way the game works is you start, and it's the first one to score 50. Usually it's around 10 points per hit, but as I say, the scores for each round, if you like, they can go up as well depending on what the play's been like. So you could be at say 35 versus 40, but it's still anyone's game because the points that you're playing for could go to 15 for that service.
Yes. That sounds really cool.
It's really good. It is really good. And then so you have a game. It's best out of 3 for each time you play it. You could probably change it in the options, but I was just playing defaults. Best out of 3. And I really like it. The music's really good, and you're playing it. But once one of you's won, once the first set's over, or the first, is that right? Set, the first set, say, or the first game. I don't know, game, set, and match, whatever. The first bit's over. Sets. So then the music changes and it ramps up into it goes din, 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 din. It really starts going mad to sort of spur you on. So it gets you really excited. And then if it's 1-1, I don't think it changes again, but it's still quite exciting. And you earn points that you can then spend to get different kind of mods, different things you can say, different cosmetic things for your character and stuff. I don't know if there's anything like speed and stuff like that you can buy. I haven't played it enough. I'm hoping not, because I prefer it to be a level playing field, as you know. But there are different characters you can pick, and each of those have got strengths and weaknesses. You've got like a really big guy who throws it really hard, but he's quite slow. And then there's like a lithe, sort of wafy girl. She's really cool, actually, and she's fast, but she doesn't throw it as hard. So they've all got trade-offs, these characters. I think there's about 3 or 4 different characters you can pick from. And, it reminded me a bit of Rollerball on the Commodore 64, or Bounces even, maybe Bounces from the Commodore 64 as well, which was a game where you threw a ball at each other to knock each other down, but you were tied by a rope that kept pulling you to a wall. Wow, that's an old game. But yeah, it's good, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it'll take off as much as Rocket League. It doesn't seem to be sort of shining through as I read my feed. Just like, oh, crikey, look at this. This is the next big thing. But it's definitely enjoyable and definitely worth a play. It's really good fun.
Yeah, fantastic. I've downloaded it, but I just haven't fired up my PlayStation. So I downloaded it. I also downloaded... I had to re-download on my PlayStation 4 Pro. I downloaded No Man's Sky because that got a patch as well. So it was like No Man's Sky was in front of Disc Jam. So I thought, so I saw you playing it, and I thought, I'll just give it a quick go. But unfortunately, it got stuck behind a No Man's Sky download. So I thought I'll leave that, and I'll come back to it later.
And the downloads aren't as easy to get to since the 1.4 patch as well, are they?
The 4.5, yeah, they really are.
Yeah, because they've put them all together in the notifications, and there isn't actually a separate download space for them. I took ages trying to find that.
Yeah, because you go to that, and then you press X, don't you? And then it takes you into all of the separate downloads.
Yeah. I was like, where's my downloads gone? Oh, there's been an update. Oh, what's going on? But that's really good. And yeah, if you, I presume you've got it downloaded. If you do the training, then we should have a game. It's good fun. It's really good fun. I think you'll like it. And it's good, and it's got a perfect sort of pace. The disc, when you throw it, it doesn't go that fast, so you can totally get to the disc to catch it, but you can be faked out so easily. And I don't know, it sort of starts like a lot of great things. It's quite simple, but yeah, I played someone online that was just all over me. I'm talking, I couldn't even touch the sides with getting a point, and I thought, wow, this is classic. This guy obviously first of all I was like, trust my luck to get this guy, but then I was like, wow, this is how you can sort of play this game. And imagine if two people got really good together. It's just really fun to watch as well. It's a good game. It's a good little game. The only other thing I've been playing was, I've been threatening to do this for a few weeks, ever since playing Rock Band 4 a few weeks ago, and me and Claire sort of got back into it, but we both missed Beatles Rock Band. So I rolled out the 360. I bought a copy of Beatles Rock Band for £2, which is all it cost me. I forget where from. eBay or Amazon or something. I can't remember. Anyway, I was shocked about that. £2.
You probably had to pay more on postage, didn't you?
It was £2 including P&P.
What?
I paid more for P&P on countless other things, including games.
Does this guy know this is the greatest Rock Band game that there ever is? I
really don't know, man. It was new and sealed.
Wow.
£2,
what?
including postage and package. I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but anyway, I've got it. And so we've got the 360 out on Friday. I started playing a bit of Beatles Rock Band, and I tell you something, the magic is still there.
Wow.
Not from my skills point of view, but from the game. From the game, man. I think you just said it, didn't you? It's just the best Rock Band game. It's amazing. I love it so much. And from the minute that intro started, Claire and I were just enraptured with it. It was like, it's like welcoming an old friend back into the fold. We were remembering the old days when we used to play it, and it was just great watching them all sitting having tea on top of that stampeding blue elephant at the start, and then the tunes. Unfortunately, I hadn't got a save game because I didn't save to the cloud. So we had to start again unlocking them all. So
fortunately, really.
Or fortunately, going through them all, yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a great time on Friday night playing that. And as a consequence, we got up on Saturday. We put it straight back on. We're like, look at this, Sam, it's awesome. Sam got his little guitar out, but he wasn't impressed. He's like, I can't join in. I said, I'll tell you what, Sam. Did you know you could play the drums on this game? He's like, no, what do you mean? And I said, well, yeah, it's got a drum peripheral. And he was like, wow, he sounded unimpressed. So I went hunting for one. At first I was a bit worried because all the ones I found on like eBay and Amazon were all like £100 for the drums. And I was like, oh no, I can't believe I sold my drum kit for 50p. Why did I do that? Why did I not just keep it? I've done this with so many things. But then I went to CEX, and what do you know? I got the drum kit for £22.
Wow, that's really good.
It was all right. So I haven't received that yet. So I'm going to get the drum kit, and as part of Sam's ongoing game training, if he does well enough on Portal, I'm going to get him on the drums. And that's really good because that's proper drumming that you do on there. Sorry about that, but I remember James talking about it. I think Rock Band got him into real world drumming, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, drumming in the real world.
Yeah, and I thought, well, this is actually something that's transferable if Sam gets good at this, and he's at a good age where he could get that rhythm. I found the drums exceedingly hard to do. It's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head, isn't it? It's like one thing with left, one thing with right, and then you bring the foot pedal in. It's like, it's difficult. But so I'm looking forward to that. So Yeah, I'll report on maybe how that went on next pod. I'm
the
thinking
carnage as Sam kicks the like a true rock star. He kicks the drum kits over and storms out like Ringo Starr.
Yeah, man. I'm more thinking about what kind of quality the drums are going to be in. I
Yes,
dread to think, because it didn't have a grading or anything, so it might not even work. But I'm crossing my fingers. I'm quietly optimistic. We'll see what happens. Maybe the karma of me looking after my drums and selling them off for 50p will come back to me in the Beatles Rock Band drum kit. And this is good, because I only had the vanilla drum kit before that you got with the original Rock Band, and this is the Beatles Rock Band one, and it's got the Beatles written on the front, on the big drum. So I'm quite excited about that.
So does your guitar from the latest Rock Band that you have on Xbox One, does that work on 360?
Well, this was a long time ago that we talked about this, but so you probably won't remember. But what I did when I bought Claire Rock Band 4, instead of getting the latest controllers, I don't know what the reason was.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
I got the little adapter thing.
Yeah,
and so I got two Beatles guitars as well.
Two Rickenbackers.
Yes, two Rickenbackers. So I'm okay. So I can use them on both. And I remember saying at the time, I wonder if that adapter can allow an Xbox 360 guitar controller work on the Xbox One. Why the heck couldn't it allow you to use your 360 controller on the Xbox One? But I don't think I ever tried it. But I'm sure it doesn't work. But why not, eh? Answer me, Anthony.
I don't know, but I'm going to move on to the news. So let's start.
There's a reason it's called money.
So let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, the PlayStation 4 goes all streaming. And we also find out what the fastest selling game of 2017 so far is. But first, Darren, the first piece of news is with you.
Yes, it is, and here we go. I find I talk a lot about Nintendo stuff at the moment. Last few weeks, most of my stories have all been Nintendo. For someone who
doesn't own a Switch and doesn't want to own a Switch, you talk about Nintendo a lot.
I know, I overcompensate. For not having it. I'm always yapping on about it. And hopefully, please tell me, I'm not trying to sort of say it's rubbish or anything. I hope it comes across.
How dare you, sir?
I'm not saying that. I wouldn't dare get DDoS'd.
Yes.
We can't say anything bad about Nintendo.
Like poor Jim Sterling this week. What did he do? He gave Zelda a 97 or a 7 out of 10 or something like that.
He gave it a 7, which I read his review actually, and he was all right. Jim Sterling, long-time video game pundit. He's not scared of telling telling it how he thinks it is. He says it straight what his opinions are. He's not scared about saying what he thinks, and he gave Zelda a 7. I read his review. His review wasn't too bad. He doesn't like the fact that the weapons degrade. He found it. He says he finds it really annoying, and he lists some other points. So he's written this really long review, and the main point, he says he doesn't like the weapons degrading. I think that's his biggest bugbear. He doesn't like it that when it rains you can't scale cliffs and stuff. But he also wrote loads of good things about it as well. So I found that his review was pretty balanced. I think he complained about the frame rate as well. And then, so in summary, he gave it a 7 out of 10. And he was saying, for him, that means he liked it. 7 isn't rubbish. 7 means good. But the Zelda Massive have just completely gone mad, and not only sort of flooded his comments and flooded any other comments thread talking about it, they brought his site down with a DDoS attack.
Wow.
It's kind of like, but it's a reviewer's job to give their honest critique, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I just think that it's a terrible thing that a community would decide to, I don't know, sort of virtually lynch anybody for doing their job or for giving their opinion. And it's only their opinion. But I think maybe what you were getting at with the 97 is people suspect that, I think that Zelda was riding high at 98 on Metacritic, which meant it was the second best game ever, with about 4 other games or something. This review, apparently or allegedly, the 7 from Jim brought it to a 97 Metacritic overall.
Right.
Which took it down from the sort of second best game of all time with 4 games to the third best game of all time with about 8 games.
Right.
So obviously, that's like the end of the world. And so, yeah, his site's been down and stuff. I just think it's a scary business, really. If maybe not so much for the mainstream guys, but just for guys, I don't know, maybe like us or doing better than us, but not like IGN or Eurogamer, not big mainstream media. Do you think that there is a fear if say they didn't like a game that they wouldn't want to say in case it enraged a community so much that they purposely took the site down? Or do you think they'd just think, well, it's publicity, who cares?
It's all traffic. But I don't know. I mean, I listen to some IGN podcasts and stuff, and when they have given maybe a very high profile game, when they have given it a below average score, or when they've given something that people in their head would think would be a 9 out of 10 and they've given a 7. And this is why I hate reviews so much, where they kind of, because it's a 7 is a good game. If you were talking about it, you say this is a really good game, and it's if you like this story, if you're in this franchise, and you should buy it. But people see a 7 as it's not good. And then all of these people that are enraging and attacking Jim Sterling's site are basically just, all they're trying to do is validate their purchase. They're like, I love this game, you don't, you're wrong.
You're wrong, yeah.
And it's incredible. But I don't think, anyone with any kind of journalistic integrity is not going to go, do you know what, I'm a bit low today, I can't be bothered with all this fanboy stuff, so I'm going to give this game 8. Because I think if they feel that it's a 7, I think they're going to give it a 7. So that's kind of maybe in my
that's the whole reason. Yeah, that's the whole reason it exists, isn't it? That's
exactly.
The whole reason that the reviewers exist, is to. That's what we expect. That's what they're there for. And like you say, it's all about journalistic integrity there, isn't it?
It really is. And the reason why I don't like reviews is because people just scroll down to the bottom. They don't read. They probably didn't read why Jim Sterling's giving it this. They don't take themselves on that journey while he's explaining what he loves and what he doesn't like about this game. All they do is zip straight to the end and look at that score. And I think that's it. I'm sure IGN have actually said that they have some metrics around it, and they notice that people just instantly, they hit that page, they scroll down to the bottom. So whether it kind of activates an ad or something that's down the bottom, I don't know, but they're finding that people just literally, they're not on that page long enough, or they just go straight to the comments and then start raging in the comments. And and some of the journalists from IGN and other sites, and especially some of the female journalists, get abuse thrown at them, and they get vile nonsense because they have stuck a number to a game, to a something that is a piece of fun, that is a pastime. But people, and it's the whole Battlefield, Call of Duty, FIFA, PES, it's all of those kind of things. If you don't like the one that I like, Xbox, PlayStation, if you don't like the one that I've bought, if you don't validate me, then you're wrong. And it's just, it's just terrible. It really is. It really enrages me.
Yeah, it's awful. This doesn't happen with movies and music. Why is it that gaming is so special that it causes all this vitriol?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And like some of these comment sections, they can just turn into just a toxic cesspit. And it's bad because I always look on gaming and gamers as wholesome and that gaming's good. And when you see bad press about gaming and then you look at incidents like this happening, it's depressing, isn't it? It sort of it backs up all that bad press, and you can guarantee that it's the rubbish stuff like this that's going to float to the surface and be perceived as what gaming's about.
Yeah,
one black marks like this. Maybe this won't get to mainstream media, but it's an example of how the toxicity and the sort of hot mess that this will turn into. Or that these incidents turn into, they're the shining beacons of gaming, not all the other positive stuff that happens when this kind of incident isn't happening. And it's the sort of the lynch mob mentality of it all. I just don't understand it. Like you say, it's affirmation. It's like, oh, well, obviously because I love it, everybody else has to love it. But I thought we were in an age now where people can agree that everybody doesn't have to think the same thing.
Yeah, we've grown up, but the problem is there's another generation coming in, and and it's that, isn't it? I mean, one of the great things that's one of the guys from IGN, a lady by the name of Alana Pierce, she reviewed, and I'm trying to remember what the game is, and I can't remember what the game is, but she reviewed a game and she gave it a low score, and there were some people that were just generally just vile. And do you know what she did? She found, because they had their name in next to their post that they put on IGN, she actually kind of found them, like knew what their full name was because of their login, and found their mum on either Facebook and Twitter and pasted the comments that their son had left about Alana Pierce. And she actually went, you don't know me, I'm a journalist for IGN, this is what your son posted in a comment about me, and this was some vile, nasty stuff, and she actually said that. And the best thing was one of them was like, I'm really sorry about this, I'm gonna have words with him, and I just thought that.
So they're just kids. They are just kids.
They are just kids. They are just
with access to DDoS tools, because it's not difficult to do. You just download a little program to do that sort of thing.
But for all the games to enrage people, I didn't think Zelda Breath of the Wild would be the one that did it, because it's all happy in Nintendo Land.
But apparently, they're not all of them, obviously, but there's a, I don't know, some kind of nucleus of rabid fans or fanboys that will jump on like anything like this, like whether it's, I don't know if it's just Zelda or if it's Nintendo as a whole, I really don't know, but they've gone on fire about it. You'd think they'd be happy with the 2010s that it's had. So yeah, I think it's a sorry state of affairs, and I think, if it got worse, if you got something, if any kind of, because there's death threats and stuff. I saw one. It's just, what was it? Drink bleach and die, and then it went on even worse than that. And it's just, I don't know. But if it's just playground stuff, you think, just like me arguing about Commodore 64 better than Spectrum when I was little, and I did when I was about 10. But I didn't have a PC and script kiddie stuff, so maybe, yeah. It's just. So that's what it is, you think? It's just it's that generation, they'll all grow up, but at the moment, when they're all kids, they're all fighting. That's just what it is, and that's the way that they show their displeasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they can.
Indeed, when you and I had that argument in the playground, who was better, Han Solo or Luke Skywalker? Han, obviously. But when we had that argument, that was just localised in our playground for those people that are around us. The world, and I sound like an old biddy here, but the world is so big now, we're so connected, or even the world makes it
so small.
The world is so small because technology is so big, we're all connected. So if I have a gripe about something, I can actually say that to that person. So when someone reviewed Return of the Jedi and they gave it, a 7 out of 10, I would go, I don't like that, but that's as far as it would go. My parents would tell me to shut up. Now I can actually go to that person who reviewed, and I can say something really nasty about them.
But these days, it's as if like the low score of, say, Return of the Jedi, people find that an affront to them personally.
Yeah, they take it personally. That's what I'm saying. I have bought this thing, so you have to tell me that this is the best thing that I've ever bought. And that's the mindset. And if you don't, then I'm going to rain all hellfire on you. Crazy.
Yeah, man. Fire and brimstone. It is. It's awful.
To the fact that they have taken Jim Sterling's website down, and so they're affecting his lifestyle, his livelihood right now, because obviously he's not making revenue off the ads and etc. etc.
Oh, he doesn't use ads. He's completely Patreon funded.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of people say, there's a load of people saying, yeah, clickbait. You hear that all the time. If somebody gives a review, I'm sure. Let's just say that everybody gives an honest review, and sometimes their opinions don't agree with your opinions. Okay. Which I think is fair to say. So someone gives a game, like he's done, he's given it a 7. Instantly it's like, clickbait. Oh, you just done that to get the clicks because it does draw you in, doesn't it? If somebody gives like a massive game that you love, like a 1, usually it's more drastic than a 7. It's sort of like 2 out of 10, and everyone goes in their droves to see what the big fuss is about. So it's like clickbait. But he doesn't need clicks. He doesn't run ads. This guy is completely Patreon funded from his own audience.
Wow.
So he doesn't. He uses a free model, but still. when his website's down, he can't give that service that his fans are paying him for because he's down. So it does affect his livelihood in that way. It could be, if they brought his website down for a long period of time, he could lose Patreon subscribers, couldn't he? So it could still affect him. But yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to interject there, because if people say that, it's just he doesn't use ads. That's all. Like, we don't, but we haven't got any Patreon either. We just do it free because we're good.
Yeah, and I've just checked Jim Sterling's website, and it's still down.
You're joking?
No,
flipping heck!
There's some DDoS thing that's on the front page, so it's still down.
My goodness me!
Holy moly! So Switch.
Yeah, so Switch. Anyway, just deviated a little bit there. So Switch. Let's be nice about the Switch, shall we? Because it certainly wouldn't take much to bring our little website down. It's only a thin piece of fabric out there in the ether. Yeah. So where was I going with the Switch? Switch games costing more. Yeah, that's been reported in the last week. Switch games look like they're going to cost more if they're a physical copy involved anyway than, say, an Xbox version or a PS4 version.
Is there any rhyme or reason that this could happen?
Oh, wow, that was good, because it was happening with Rhyme. Wow, you knew that, didn't you?
Boom!
Boom, awesome. So, yeah, Rhyme is coming out, and I think, if you got the prices there, I think it was like $39.99 or $29.99 on Xbox and PlayStation.
Right.
But then $39.99 on Switch.
Oh, wow, so it's actually £10 dearer.
Yeah, £10 increase. Eurogamer tried to get to the bottom of it and ask why, and the developer came back with not a very helpful soundbite of basically something along the lines of, every game is priced according to the efforts that are put in to make the game and the platform that we are making it on. Now, that isn't exactly what it is, but it was along those lines, yeah? It's kind of like, well, that doesn't really help. Anyway, Eurogamer did a bit more investigation into it. And what they've come up with is, I've got the exact quote here from Eurogamer. We set prices for our products based on the costs of development and publishing for each specific platform. Sorry for reading that like a robot. So Eurogamer delved deeper into it because they were kind of like, that doesn't help us. Tequila Works, who's developing Rhyme or publishing Rhyme, that doesn't really answer the question. So they thought, well, let's try and find out what is the reason. They've come up with, I think this is a pretty good reason. The basic facts, so I should have thought of this straight away, cartridges cost more than discs.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I was kind of like, yeah, that's just like the old days. You'd pay more for a SNES cartridge, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, there were some cartridges that cost a blooming earth.
Yeah.
Do you remember, sort of, with the extra memory included in them and stuff?
Of course. I mean, what they should do is they should have like the digital version. They should be completely opposite to everyone else. And the digital version should be the cheaper one.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But what they said is, if there was another developer and that they were making a game and there's only a digital version of it, so no physical version, and they're like, yeah, we're going to keep the price the same for everything because there's only a digital version.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, and the reason is, where is it? That was called Snake Pass from Sumo Digital. Okay, that's coming out on 29th of March on the Switch, and that's going to be £15.99 on all platforms, right? And that's digital only. There's no cartridge. So the COO of Sumo Digital said, Snake Pass is digital only. Blah, blah, blah. We have no issue keeping the same price across all the platforms digitally. Indeed, it was important to us that people wouldn't be penalised by which platform they decided to purchase. It looks like what happens is, if you're going to bring a game out that's going to have a physical copy for the Switch, then you've got to have parity for your digital price with the physical price, so that you don't give the game shops the hump. So the existence of a physical copy basically hikes the price, because then you've got to match the digital copy with the physical, and the physical's more because it's on a cartridge for Switch. So if you have a physical copy of the game, then it's going to pop the price up of even the download. And the reason is that the policy is that they don't want to get on the wrong side of the bricks and mortar shops, because they're still needed at this stage in play.
Wow, that's really interesting, isn't it? That's just...
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's just the policy. And I think it's just because, as I say, it's all about bricks and mortar shops being needed to distribute consoles. And if that wasn't there, then it wouldn't be. But unfortunately, it is. So that looks like it will happen for anything that has a physical cartridge. Okay, even if there's a digital version of the shop. Because I was instantly like, this is a joke. Well, what about just getting the digital one? Don't need the cartridge then. And then it's kind of like, yeah, but we have to keep the shops pleased, because how do you think the shops are going to feel if you can just get the digital version for £10 cheaper than they have to sell it?
Yes. Then you're right. You're absolutely spot on. Yeah, then they have to discount then, don't they? Because otherwise people will just be going in there maybe to buy that digital download code. Because when I was having all my fun and games with Game and Zelda, they said, "Oh, we could sell you a digital code if you want." So they have similar to Xbox and PlayStation 4, they can buy the games as a digital as well if you wanted. So. Yeah. So it's a shame, but it's just business, isn't it? It's just business. So there you go. So if that doesn't leave a bitter taste in your mouth, this might. And this is about, have you heard about the people that were thinking that it's kind of along the lines of, have you ever heard of people smelling the manuals of games? You get a new game, there's nothing like that smell. You open the box and you smell the manual. Absolutely. There was nothing like a new game manual.
I love the smell of a game manual in the morning.
You break open that box and it was just yeah,
like that new car smell, that new game smell, that new manual smell, and people were intrigued with this to the point where there was a bit of a debate about how bad Nintendo the Switch cartridges tasted. So people were licking them in their droves, and they tasted that bad that actually people went on a bit of a hunt to find out whether they were saying these cartridges, when you licked them, the Switch cartridges, they taste so bad that it must be on purpose, because it was just so bitterly disgusting what they taste. Nothing should taste like this when you lick it. Right. Let alone a beautiful game like Legend of Zelda, like a picture of Zelda. It should taste a bit nicer.
It should taste grassy. It should taste of grass. It'd be like wheatgrass or something.
It should be a little taste of nature, shouldn't it? So people started looking into it, and it turns out that they are actually unflavoured. They're coated in a disgusting taste on purpose.
Right.
It's deliberate.
Wow. It's quite funny, actually, because when the Switch came out a couple of weeks ago, a certain co-host, James, he sent me a picture of him licking or having, I think it was a Zelda cartridge, was in his mouth, and he was pulling a rather scrunchy face.
So, it didn't go down well then, did it not?
No.
Wow, well, it's done on purpose.
And why do they do that? Is it a bit like kind of like biting your fingernails type thing? That stuff that goes on your fingernails.
Wow, it is. It's that. It's exactly that. It's called. It's a bittering agent, and it's called denatonium benzoate. And that is the name of the stuff that you put on kids' fingernails to stop them biting them. It's the same stuff, which I've never tasted. It's and Nintendo have come back to Kotaku on this issue. Obviously, it's the hot issue at the moment, and they said the reason that it is deliberate and the reason is to avoid the possibility of accidental ingestion. Keep the game card away from young children. And they said that it's a bittering agent, the one that I just mentioned, denatonium benzoate, has also been applied to the game card. This bittering, but it's a non-toxic bittering agent. So if you do eat your game, it won't cause you any harm apart from the shape of it going through your system. But yeah, it's done on purpose to presumably these games are pretty small. You've got your little adventurous child picks it up, pops it on that, because some kids put the stuff in their mouths all the time, don't they?
Yes.
And hopefully they'll spit it out and they won't swallow it, choke on it or anything. So it's a kid deterrent.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Wow, I just
learn something new every day.
What a level to go to! I love it. I would love to have been on that kind of boardroom where they go, right, okay, we need to stop kids from putting these in their mouth, and so they said, right, all of them are going to be coated in this.
That's brilliant. It's kind of like the thing is, they had the team that were working on the left Joy-Con synchronization. They went off to do the bittering agent for a little while, and that's why there's been a few problems.
They forgot where they left off. They were like, "Where did we leave?" Oh, don't worry, just shut up. Just shut it up. It's fine. It'll work.
Just clamp that case closed.
If not, we'll give the Nintendo Ambassador program to everyone. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and if it stops sinking enough, we'll just coat it with some of this horrible bittery stuff.
Yeah, don't want to put that in their mouth. So the next piece of news is with me, and this is an interesting one. This is PlayStation Now is now going to include PlayStation 4 games. So a couple of weeks ago, I don't think we reported it on the pod, but a couple of weeks ago, PlayStation suddenly started to restrict the amount of devices that PlayStation Now can be streamed on. So they cut it away from lots of old Sony TVs and everything, a microwave, whatever it was on before. They started restricting it down to Windows PCs and your PlayStation 4. And potentially the reason for this is that they have announced this week via the Sony blog that they are going to be streaming PlayStation 4 games in 2017. They're actually doing some private testing right now. They hope to release this probably around the time of E3. So what this is doing, this is basically for that nominal fee each month, you will be able to stream and play and stream any PlayStation 4 game as well as PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 2 games. So this is this is an interesting one because it's obviously trying to maximise on that Gaikai investment that they did years ago, but it's also quite a complete opposite to what Xbox is doing with their kind of Netflix download. You're downloading the full game into kind of PlayStation Now and streaming.
Yeah, any PS4 game. If you
any PS4 game, they're saying here, yes.
So you wouldn't have to buy another game?
All of the games in the service, including PS4 games, will be included in one single PS Now subscription.
Okay, but it doesn't say that every PS4 game will be available, though. It'll be a select. Presume they're not going to just. Are they going to just have every PS4 game available?
It just says all of the games in the service, including PS4 games, will be included with one PS4 PS subscription, and that's all they say. They just say they're testing it at the moment with PlayStation 4 games. Because I just wonder, if you've got, I don't. Have you ever tried PlayStation Now? Because
no, I haven't. I must be honest. Have you?
I tried it once with Arkham Origins because it's a game that I'd never played, and I had a free. I think you can give it a free 7-day trial. So I thought, fine, right, I'm gonna give this a go, see what it's like. And instantly you're playing this game, which is fantastic. It's really cool. But, and I guess this is probably what I'll probably feel like if I was playing a PC. I'm constantly looking at the game going, is this dipping? Is that dipping in frame rate? Does it look that good? Is it okay? And you're constantly aware of the bandwidth going in and out. And also, I think whilst playing it, I also got a little bit of a judder as well once. And then, because it said, yeah, your bandwidth's fine, don't worry about it, you can start playing right now. But I got a bit of a judder, and it felt like I was almost, there was a lag happening between that. And of course, when you're playing something like Batman Arkham Origins, or if you're going to play Resogun, you need to be kind of inch perfect. So to have that lag could really affect it. So whether they have restricted the amount of devices because they're improving the PlayStation Now platform to bring out these PlayStation 4 games, because there's not a hope in hell that you're going to be able to stream Horizon Zero Dawn at HDR with checkerboard 4K, is there?
No. It'd sort of be. I was thinking of it as a mobile solution, but we haven't really got the bandwidth out and about. But say we did, it would be kind of okay then, if it, because you could sort of accept the judder, and it would be kind of equivalent, kind of the dream that we always had that the PS Vita could have. You could be playing any of these PS3 or PS4 games on the go on maybe on your phone or maybe on your laptop
or your Switch.
or even on, that would be funny, wouldn't it? The Sony opening intro on the Switch. So that would be good, but I don't think that's going to happen on 3G or even 4G, is it? I wouldn't have thought.
No way. You haven't got a hope for that.
And you've got to think about your bandwidth package as well, wouldn't you? You'd have to think about your data package, so you can't get ripped through it pretty quick.
Absolutely. I'm getting 65 and I got a bit of a judder, and I got a little bit of packet loss, and it started looking a bit weird, and then it went back fine. And I got that whilst playing it and trying it, so if you imagine being out on 4G, it would be some kind of blocky PlayStation 2 mess.
Yeah, so we'd say that it's for at home when the TV's being sort of fought over, and little Johnny can go up in his room and play on his PC and carry on with his PlayStation game that he's saved to the cloud, and he can carry on from that, which is really cool. It just depends what games they add to the service, doesn't it? It's still $12.99 though, so it's still pretty steep per month, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and they're saying at the moment, obviously, you can start playing PlayStation 3 games. At the moment, you've got things like Red Dead Redemption, Tekken Tag Tournament, Last of Us, Injustice, Batman, those kind of games. So that's all kind of available now, and they're doing some private testing they're doing some private testing to look at PlayStation 4 games via the PS Now.
Oh, right, and just get ideas of what people think, a bit of a beta test with it.
Yeah, it looks like they're only sending out kind of beta test invites to the PS Now subscribers, so those people that have already kind of invested in that platform.
Yeah, I think this is a great thing for gamers. That I think we've used this argument before for different schemes and things, different initiatives, where a gamer who hasn't really been gaming historically gets their PS4, it's a bit of a new thing, haven't played the back catalogue, and then they can play this, and instead of buying a game for 40 quid or 2 games for 80 quid, they can have, say 6 months of this service for the same price, and they can play the entire, like loads of PS3 games and whatever PS4 games are out there. And for some people, because there's quality games there, that would be marvellous. But for people like me and you that have probably played every single game when it came out, it's not as beneficial, because we're always looking ahead, to the next big thing. And I don't know about you, but I might want to play some of the oldies, but it's time, because of all the good ones coming out. There's no time to go back and go through, I don't know, BioShock again. But for people that haven't done that, then this is a great initiative. I still quibble on the price a little bit, but if you think of somebody, like the comparison I just made, 2 games 80 quid versus $12.99 a month, that's quite a lot of $12.99s in £80. But you can it sweetens the pill a little bit. I think when I say it to myself that way, it sweetens the pill, especially with PS4 games too. But then again, you're always going to have that judder. But maybe the people that this would appeal to, maybe they're not as sort of 4K HDR frame rate orientated as us guys.
Yes, but surely your $12.99 a month would be better off spent at somewhere like Boomerang.
Very good point. But I suppose, with Boomerang, you've got to get up, you've got to get up and put the disc in. You've got to take the disc out.
You've got to get up in the morning.
Yeah, you've got to get out of bed and all that stuff. You've got to go, see if the postman's been. But with this, you can just sit there. And, I think, yeah, exactly. I'm right with you here. Boomerang all the way. But if you're interested in all those old games, you can just get bored of one within 5 minutes, swap to the next. Bored of it in 5 minutes, swap to the next. But then again, if they're games that you're going to get bored of in 5 minutes, you're probably better off with Boomerang. Play a game you want to play.
It's really interesting how PlayStation are kind of we're months away from E3, but it's almost like those interesting positioning announcements have started to come from both Xbox and PlayStation. We had Xbox last week where they were talking about their Xbox game library, which is I still haven't got access to it yet in the beta program, but I'm sure it's kind of being rolled out. And so we've got that, and Phil Spencer was on the IGN podcast, the podcast Unlocked, and he was saying that potentially one of the things that he's thinking about is having a Switch event before E3, to get all of that out of the way, because otherwise they're going to spend a lot of time in a conference, which is normally kind of games. They're going to spend a lot of time talking about hardware. So he said they have been toying with an idea of actually kind of having its own event, that the Switch should have its own event before E3.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting.
So everyone's kind of positioning, aren't they? They're all kind of like, yeah, so it's very interesting indeed.
Everyone's vying for the dollar.
Well, they want their E3 things to just be about games, don't they? They want it to be, if you look at the last couple of Sony ones, the last couple of Sony conferences, PSX and E3, you've finished you're just a sweaty mess. You've been hit from left to right. You're exhausted, just spent, because they have just hit you with games. And Microsoft's one last year, that was a fantastic one. It just kept kind of ramping up, and so that's what they want. And I think they've both learned that whenever you kind of go ramp up. Right now, we're going to talk about hardware. That just kind of gets people down, and then they start looking at the youth of today are so fickle that they will start looking elsewhere, so they need to kind of get those boring but interesting announcements kind of out of the way.
Yeah, it was almost worth the TV fiasco for them to learn the lesson.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I was thinking, as you said this, like that everyone's positioning themselves, and there are more of these services coming out that are a bit more of a Netflix model, stealthily getting this Netflix model out there. as a friendly thing, as a service. We're trying to help you, Anthony. We're going to offer you this. We're going to offer you that. It's funny, and this is quite a cynical way of thinking about it, but this is exactly what Microsoft wanted with their initial Xbox E3 announcement, isn't it? They wanted it to be sort of all downloaded, all DRM, all controlled, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
What this would do if these Netflix models took off, and I think they really makes business sense that they would, Sony, Microsoft, AO, that's what they prefer, to be in complete control. It's all the profit goes to them. That's what they would want. And this is sort of moving, slowly transitioning over to that model stealthily. When we all think, oh wow, thanks Phil, oh that's great, thanks you Ada, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, but we didn't want this when Microsoft announced it, but we all love it now. So I think it's quite funny that these services are coming along presented in a different way, sort of drip fed towards what I think the ultimate goal, the obvious business goal of sort of complete domination, get rid of the shops sort of thing. But it's quite a nice and pleasant transition, isn't it? And it certainly doesn't seem to be causing any outrages or DDoS attacks.
No, absolutely not. I mean, like, if you look at my kind of buying habits over the last couple of years, I've suddenly started getting the digital. There's this nasty thing that Microsoft do, which is the nasty in a bad way, in a good and a bad way, because there's the ultimate, and that gives you access 4 days earlier, so you can get to that goodness 4 days earlier. So they're getting me on that. And there's obviously you have to pay a little bit more for that. And they are getting me. And I'm there. I'm happy to part with it. But you're right. When they first announced this vision, and you're spot on. When first announced this vision, everybody went over to Sony.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. I think maybe it was just that people weren't ready then.
Yes,
it's as if I don't think it was Phil Spencer at the time. Was it? What was his name? And he left and went to Rovio.
But I think I don't think
Don Matrick or whatever.
Yeah, that was it. I don't think it was a case of it was almost because people didn't have an option. And I think it was like, this is how you're going to play the games. You download them, and then
don't tell us what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Don't tell us what to do. I don't have. What about the poor army guys who don't have
the submarine guys?
Yes, they're all worrying about people that people are like. What about you're in Iraq and you want to play Mass Effect? This is not fair for them. How could you do that? And it's just bizarre things that suddenly people start thinking about. It's because they weren't given choice.
Yeah,
so if right at the start they said you could do this or you can do this, or made it a little bit clearer on their messaging, then everything would have been fine, but it wasn't. And I, like you say, I think both them and Sony learned a lot of lessons over those last couple of E3s.
Yeah, I think they definitely did. And you're right. I think it's all about choice. If they'd just sold it in a different way and said, "There's also going to be this that we're going to offer to you as an extra thing," your choice. Maybe it would have all been different. Who knows? But I think slowly we're inching towards it with them bringing these services, tantalising us with these options slowly, giving us prices, giving us choices. It's just making it more apparent that there are these options. Get more and more people hooked. Even I'm changing a little bit on the digital downloads, and I was against it, but it's just time, isn't it? Let the old people adjust, and and then they'll have done it. Before you know it, you'll turn around, you're like, crikey, it's been years since I bought a physical copy, and I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I think
sort of thing.
The last physical copy I bought was could have been Call of Duty. And then before that was Overwatch, because I wasn't sure if Overwatch was a good game, or whether it was going to hook me in. But then I kind of found out quite quickly it was. And then I remember kind of being at home, and then I was like playing something digital on my PlayStation 4, and I wanted to play Overwatch, and I was like, oh, but I've got to get up now, and it's like, as we've said time and time again, there is something that's quite nice of just hitting that guide button on your console of choice and then just jumping to the next game.
It's the future.
It's the present in my house because we buy everything digital. But yeah, though it's absolutely fantastic. It's really good. And I like, hopefully very soon Apple are going to announce a 4K Apple TV, and then that's it. I'll be done. I'll be done with physical media.
With everything. You'll be done with everything. That'll be you in a room, Apple 4K TV.
I'll just lock myself away. And
the sign on the outside saying it happened.
It happened.
I'm not coming out.
Done. So the next piece of news says with you.
It is Get Up and Go, hooray! Who said video games were bad for you? Well, Pokemon Go certainly isn't. Yeah, thought I'd mention Pokemon Go after all these months. It's still there. It's still out there, apparently. And they've mentioned that it's actually been proved that it's good for you to play it. Well, who'd have guessed, eh? Walking about is better than sitting around.
What? This is brand new information.
This is brand new information. This is stop the press, stop the pod. So, people who play Pokemon Go apparently are twice as likely to hit 10,000 steps a day. That's from a new study, which from the American Heart Association. This study looked at 167 iPhone users for 50 days and found that it just basically left them to do whatever they wanted. And it found that if they walked an average of 5,600 steps a day. But after playing Pokemon Go on these phones, the average increased up to 7,600 a day. And individuals were twice as likely to hit the 10,000 step target. Not only that, people who got the least exercise at the start of the study, so the real loafers, the real couch potatoes, they saw the most improvement sort of straight away, and they were going from almost zero to nearly 3,000 steps a day on average. So that's really good. So yeah, they've also there's a little video, and I might put this in the show notes from Pokemon Go, and it shows how many kilometers have been walked on the game en masse. Right, It's the equivalent of 200,000 trips around the Earth. That's how many. So I'm just going to play this video. It's 30 seconds now. So starting walking. These numbers are too difficult for me to count. So we're up to Jupiter now. They're walking out of Earth, up to Saturn. They're up to Neptune. So Neptune, on September the 7th, 2016, people had walked, combined in Pokemon Go, 4.6 billion kilometres.
Wow.
And then it carries on. Let's carry on walking. Here we go, right, past Neptune. Now, we're past Pluto now. And there we go. December the 7th, 2016. So there's going to be a lot more steps done now, probably. 8.7 billion kilometres were walked collectively on Pokemon Go from all the players. Wow. 8.7 billion kilometres, which is like walking to Pluto.
That's incredible. That's really cool.
So I haven't been playing Pokemon Go for ages because Sam's got the hump with the frame rate on the iPad.
I remember you saying, you were like, that really gave you the half, didn't it?
It was bad because like some guy, he had his phone out because his daughter was like looking at Pokemon Go on his, and I thought we were cool because we had the iPad, and this was just some Android phone, Anthony.
Oh my goodness!
It was a blooming Android phone, and she was like, "Oh yeah," and Sam was like, "No." He kind of pushed the iPad back at me. He goes, "I'm going to go and look at that one," and I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because," and he did this sort of clock ticking motion with his hand. He said, "This one's like this," and he did this sort of clock tick thing, and I was like, "Oh, you mean because it's all jerky?" And he went, "Yeah," and then he went off and started getting all fascinated with the Android phone.
Wow!
Tell you what,
did you then drag him back and then give him your theory about the iPhone 8?
Well, I tried to explain that to him, but
he just said, "Whatever, loser," and then went and played Android. See what you're doing? He's looking at Android, Darren. Android.
Look, right, we're getting new iPad announcements, aren't we, this year?
Yes.
Don't worry, mate. You're going to be proud of me by the end of the year because I'll have a new iPad and I'll have the latest iPhone.
Wow.
But my goodness me, it's hard. It's hard. This is a hard wait because
it's hard being on that soapbox that you're on.
stubborn soapbox. You should just go and get
Stubborn Island. It's hard being the solo resident of Stubborn Island.
Yeah, and I'm the only resident because I'm too stubborn to let anyone else on it. But yeah, I'll be back to normal. After that.
Awesome. Right, the next piece of news is with you.
Oh, crikey. Yeah, and so the fastest selling game of 2017 today is... What is it? It's a surprise to me. It's Ghost Recon Wildlands.
What?
I know. I thought it'd be... Well, it was Horizon until now, until this week. And I just thought, there's been so many amazing games that have come out that we've all been going, woo, wow, oh, wow, swoon, this is amazing, that's amazing. But no, and it's weird because I know we know this is coming. I think we've both played the beta, and it's an enjoyable enough game. It's something that I think you'll say this is fair. Maybe you won't, but I'd say we've been too busy with other games to sort of notice this one because there's been so much going on. Would you say?
No, absolutely. I mean, I played 2 of the betas, and it's quite funny because the guys I was playing the Division with, we started talking about, should we get Wildlands? And we were all going, yeah, I'm up for that. And then suddenly the reviews started dropping, and then Giant Bomb started talking about it, And then
not that you'd look at the scores. Or anything like that.
And it was just like suddenly they were kind of really going, it's really, kind of, it's the same thing. It's this, and we're like, do you know what? We might as well just continue playing the Division.
That sounds like a fairly good strategy, yeah. It sounds like it's a bit meh.
I can't believe that's the fastest selling game of 2017.
Well, this is the thing, like you say, in the wake of average reviews, not much hype. I feel that I was more bombarded with For Honor than this.
Yeah.
I felt that I haven't been being dazzled with ads or write-ups or publicity. Though I must admit, I went into Game on Saturday just because I was walking past and I can't help but walk in a game shop. And there was a guy there demoing a game, and it was Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Right.
He wasn't a game guy, he was from Ubisoft. And so we had a bit of a chat, and he was demoing it in a little. He had a little booth that was curtained off because it was an 18.
Oh, right, that's so cool.
Or a 15, and I thought, oh wow! So you can go in there, you can go in this booth with him and have a look. And he's like, does the curtains round like a hospital or something. Anyhow, I didn't have a go. He said, "Oh, do you want to go?" I said, "No." I said, "I played the beta. I played it enough. I don't need to play it now." I said, "It's okay. I feel it's a little bit like the Division." And I said, what I really wanted out of this game that I think is missing is I was expecting it to be more like Graw on the Xbox 360, Graw 2, because I said I loved that game, and I said they seem to have dropped a lot of what I loved about that game out of this game.
Yeah.
And I said, and that's a shame, I said, because I was kind of looking forward to that, and I didn't feel it in the beta. So I said, maybe it's there in the full game. And he said, to be honest, it's not like that. They've gone for a different direction. And we had a good chat. He was a nice guy. James was his name. So James, if you're listening to the pod, because we did have a little chat about the podcast, it was really nice talking to you, mate. And I hope you're listening. So, yeah, we had a bit of a chat about it. And I went away and I was like, oh, yeah, so Ghost Recon Wildlands is out now. It sort of passed me by a little bit. So then that obviously went out of my head until today when I'm reading that it's the the fastest selling game of 2017 so far. And I was just like, what? So I don't know what's happened there, whether it's the Ghost Recon fans, whether it's the Division fans that are looking at this as a next Division game, or something else. But it's obviously doing really well. It's the second fastest selling Tom Clancy game ever after the Division. The Division has still got the record for being the biggest first quarter launch ever in the UK. So this is second to that. So there's obviously a big following for this sort of game.
Yeah.
Maybe this sort of more realistic game, not Destiny. But like you said, why would they not just stay with the Division? I don't understand. But there's something about this game because it's massive. It's number one. It's knocked Horizon Zero Dawn down the charts to number 2. I think Zelda's at number 3. So this is sort of ruined everything. How can this have topped it? I mean, I suppose they're exclusives, and this is a multi-platform, so you could maybe take that into account. But yeah, it's. I think the gaming industry is full of surprises, and that was a surprise.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I expected it to be more like kind of the Ghost Recon 2 of the original Xbox. That's kind of what I wanted,
Yeah.
but kind of in a gritty kind of Colombian environment. I thought that's absolutely fine, but it just wasn't like that. It felt kind of more modern. It felt kind of a Destiny, and the Division actually feels better to play. I remember kind of when I was playing it, I was like, I really want to play the Division. And luckily the Division they're coming out with their last piece of DLC, and I how much I love that game, and it's just such a fantastic game, which coincidentally has also got a demo now on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as well. You can now play a Division demo, so I think it's like a timed demo, which allows you to kind of get a good feel for what the Division is.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, I'll tell you what else it reminded me of playing the beta. Just Cause.
Yes, it's very much...
It reminded me of Just Cause.
Yeah, indeed.
Which is completely brainless. But when you're talking about Grow, that was sort of a bit more of a thinky game, wasn't it? You planned your strategy. I mean, I'm not saying it was Rainbow Six or anything, but there was a strategic element there. Anyway, regardless of what we think about strategic elements or anything, it's sold like hotcakes and it's topping the charts and well done Ubisoft.
Fantastic. Good call on Ubisoft, because like I say, there must be a big audience for this. And, on paper, fantastic. Getting 4 guys together, having a laugh, doing this, taking, the one thing that I did love when I jumped into the beta was the fact that you could just go around the perimeter spotting everybody, whether it's by a drone, whether it's just by scoping, you've spotted everyone and then you can then plan your attack. But, listening to the podcast I was listening to, it seems like it's just rinse and repeat of that. It's kind of probably has the same thing that Destiny had to some people, where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But it definitely had the potential, but it just, maybe that's a game for later when it's all kind of quiet and maybe they fixed a few things.
Yeah. I mean, these games evolve anyway, so yeah, and maybe that's another thing I haven't heard. So this is the fastest game, right? So it's sold a bunch of games out there. Okay, I haven't seen the usual reports of Ghost Recon Wildlands or whatever it is crashing, lagging, servers aren't working. I haven't seen anything like that, so that's got to be good.
Oh.
It's a shame that people aren't actually saying Ghost Recon Wildlands, successful launch, fastest launch ever, and everybody's happy. Servers are working. This is brilliant. Everyone's having a great experience. Bit of nice news for once instead of like, oh no, the doom and gloom. Yeah.
Excellent. Right, and that's it for our normal news. It's now time to head over to the VR news desk for all the latest in VR.
VR desk.
Hello, welcome to the VR desk. Here we are once again to talk about everything VR related. Well, as far as time allows anyway. Hey, Anthony.
You're on the clock. I want to play Zelda.
I know. We're racing through. We're rattling through it, aren't we? We're rattling through it. I'll get into 2 hours, so that's not too bad. And I want to play Horizon Zero Dawn because I'm on time limit with that. Because I want to play, I don't know, whatever comes out new. Persona 5. Is it going to be good? I've never played a Persona game. So excited. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
VR, put your smoking jacket back on.
That's better. I've relaxed now. Come down on Stubborn Island with my one chair, my one HMD, and my one smoking jacket.
I want Dark Bunny T to kind of create me a t-shirt which is Stubborn Island. I might have to have a chat with those guys.
It's got a chair and a table and a console.
Dinner for one on Stubborn Island.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Anyway, so the first thing, we talked a little bit about the aim controller last week, didn't we? That it was going to have sort of better motion sensors and stuff. Mm-hmm. And James was sort of saying that's a bit annoying because it's sort of saying that the Move controllers as is aren't that good, which is a good point, and we agreed. Anyway, what we didn't mention, because I don't think the information was out there at the time, was the price of Farpoint, which comes with the aim controller peripheral. So you can get Farpoint for £49.99. What do you think of that price?
That's not too bad, and that comes with the peripheral as well.
No.
Oh, wow.
That's the price of the game only.
Right.
With the aim controller, I was going to say it's not too bad. You can be the judge of this and tell me. You've got the PSVR. You'd be tempted to get this. $74.99.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. Okay.
So, quite expensive. I mean, when you look at it, that it's 25 quid for the peripheral. It doesn't sound too bad. But when you're bundling it in with the 50 quid game, it's 75 quid. It's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yes, that really is kind of that. So, yeah, I guess. I mean, it makes sense because you are getting a peripheral in a game, but it just seems to, especially as there aren't that many games out there, it would be nice just to maybe kind of get a little bit of a cheap one for this, and then we can and then more people will buy it, and then surely that would then just kind of help, kind of then shift more PSVRs as well.
But if you pre-order it, Anthony, and get on board with everybody. We'll get on board with Farpoint anyway. You'll get a Red Planet Wanderer spacesuit, which is an exclusive skin.
Score. How do I pre-order now?
I can hear you tapping now, getting that
Amazon.
We've got a bit more information about the game. It's going to have single player. It's also going to have online co-op as well. So that could be quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of at that price point. It needs to be a fully rounded game, doesn't it?
Yes.
£50 game. I think that's more than Resi 7 was. I think Resi 7 was about 40.
I don't know.
Can't really remember.
I don't know. I bought it from Game because, so I can't remember how much I paid for it. But yeah, it must have been probably about, I don't know.
Round about that.
Probably about $49.99, yeah.
Oh, okay. So, anyway, at that price, that's the price. I think that they're saying something with a price like that. And I think that they're setting an expectation. I would expect a full game there for that price. I wouldn't expect 3 hours. I'd expect more than that. So, we'll see. We'll see. But also, and I mean, you touched on this at the top of the show, about the update for the PlayStation, for the 4.5 update, not the 1.5 update that I called it, but the 4.5 update. Not only did it update the PlayStation itself and give boost mode and all the rest of it and hide the downloads area, but like you say, it gave that 3D cinema thing to the PSVR user. But also, apparently, it's carried with it some improvements to frame rate as well, which I think you also mentioned. But not only that, but on talking with the developers, I think it was roadtovr.com, they talked to the developers of Farpoint, and they said actually it's been improved as a constant work in progress ever since sort of January.
Right.
So there've been constantly little updates going out, or whenever we've had a little incremental update, or maybe they saved them all up, but it's been a work in progress for months and months and months to improve the PSVR itself, and that's sort of something that's ongoing all the time. So I thought that was really, really positive. I thought that was something good. The game, £75 with the gun. Apparently, and this is what needs to happen really, the gun is going to be compatible with other games. The bad news is we don't know anything else.
Right.
Any of the games that the gun's going to be compatible with. It'd be nice. I think it would have been a nice touch. They could have made that gun compatible with Resi 4.
Yes.
Because you use a gun in Resident Evil, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that would be... Because I presume you use one of the move controllers and use the trigger as the gun when and sort of point it and stuff.
Yeah, so you have to hold it down to kind of have that gun kind of pointed up. But then whether you're not pressing L2 or R2, you're then moving around. So it would make kind of moving quite hard if you had that as a gun.
It's got a joypad on it though. So where your trigger is... Mm-hmm. Where your thumb would rest, there is an analog stick.
Right.
But maybe it'd just be really weird that it was two things. I don't know. I don't know.
You'd probably need that and a wand. Those two together, and then you could probably do something, maybe. But indeed. But they should have the smarter people than me probably should have kind of thought about that and should have kind of. You're right. If you buy this, you can now kind of play this, and this with it as well.
It'd make it a bit more seductive, wouldn't it? You think, I could do that. We could see a lot of them shifting at Christmas for people. Not only people that had already bought a PSVR, but I could imagine if they had, by Christmas they may have this, but if you could get the PSVR along with a bundle with, say, Farpoint, the aim controller, and one or two other games that utilise that controller that were reportedly good, that'd be a really meaningful package, price dependent. We'll see what happens with that. It's out. It's out quite soon. I think it comes out in May. I haven't got the exact date in front of me now, but I think it comes out in May. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that's like. I don't know if I'm going to hear that first-hand review from you or James, but I'll cross my fingers that one of you guys gets involved.
Yes, maybe.
But I won't hold my breath.
I'm just scanning down. May 16th is when it's coming out.
Right, cool. Well, I can sort of tell that I'm going to be reading about this on the internet and not maybe hearing from you. So that's the aim controller and Farpoint on PSVR. Next piece of news is about Project Alloy from Intel, which is an HMD, a project for a HMD, which I hadn't heard of. Have you heard of this before? Is this a new thing to you? Yeah. Project Alloy?
No, it's a new thing. I thought it was something to do with Horizon Zero Dawn.
So did I. I was going to try and sort of do some kind of segue, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I'm not good enough. So what Project Alloy is, it's the name. It's an Intel design, and what they're doing is it's their design for an HMD that they're going to give to outside hardware manufacturers that they can then use to make their own headsets with. So they use Intel's design to make headsets themselves. So like a template, I suppose. Intel say they're not going to make any themselves, but what they've done is they've done the work to offer this design to other interested parties to make HMDs. The interesting thing about it is these HMDs are not designed to link up to a computer. They're designed to be all in.
Oh, wow.
So you don't pop a phone in. It's a full-on HMD with all the, I don't know, computing power built into it, which is really interesting. I thought, so I was like, wow, this is really good. You know, there could be a market for this. Now, the difficulty there with saying there's a market for it comes with the price. The reason that this news story popped up for me on Upload VR was that it was announced, pricing for Project Alloy has been announced. And I was like, well, first of all, I don't know what heck Project Alloy is, never mind the price. That's what led me to the article. So reading what it is, you think, yeah, that's fair enough, and that's quite good, and like people could, hopefully it'll make the VR more widespread. Then it comes to the price. They're expecting that these are going to go for around $1,000.
Wow.
So they're not cheap, but also they're saying, I like to be positive here, but I'm just giving you the facts, right? So it's going to be about $1,000. It's all in the headset, which is great, but and they're saying that that's great, and consumers are going to love it because you don't need a PC to run it. And as we know, most like HMDs that offer a good experience are tethered to a computer or a console, you know.
Yeah.
And it's that has the grunt that helps make that experience, make it worth it, I suppose. But they're saying that as well as it being nearly $1,000, it's also going to be less powerful than a Rift or a Vive because of the fact that it isn't tethered to a PC. But it looks like Intel, they're saying that the freedom provided by being wireless and standalone will be enough to get over that. So I'm not sure. I read this and I was thinking, first of all, I was like, wow. And then I was finding out what Project Alloy was, and I was thinking, oh, wow, this is really interesting. They've made a design, and people are going to make this, and this is good, you know. And I got the impression it was going to be a competitively priced product. And then when I saw the price, I thought it was a bit of a hurdle, really. And I was thinking, I don't imagine adopters, especially when I could put the link to the article in the show notes, because when you see the prototype, you just can't imagine that people will be rushing out to get it.
Yeah.
So, you know, especially when I can imagine I will look a fool for something that I think is amazing, but if something's not as good as something that's already out, I just can't see that I'd get invested. So when you think that you could get an Oculus or a Vive or a PSVR for the price of one of these, I'm not so optimistic, but maybe the fact that it's wireless, and it's got all that. It's got this is the thing. I probably haven't mentioned this. It's got the tracking in the headset itself. It's got that. I don't know if it is actually it, but it's a variant maybe on the inside out tracking that's coming along. So you'll be able to do room scale without any wires, without any computer, without anything. So I just suppose it would depend on the software, wouldn't it?
Yes.
It would depend on the software. If they can bring out some killer app, then maybe this could have legs, but. It's a shame. It's so costly. Maybe an idea like this is maybe just a bit too early to bring it to market at the moment when there's already 3 sort of big hitters out there. Is there a need for a wireless one at the moment, especially a wireless one that isn't quite up there with the specifications, or will this be something that like in a few weeks I'll be saying, wow, well, you know, I said it was expensive, but you should see the software that's coming out on this thing. It's going to be amazing, and you can walk around, and there's no wires, and it just makes it amazing. So I don't know. You know, that's all I know at the moment. I just thought it was worth mentioning. That's what Project Alloy is.
Wow.
So we may see I suppose it's a bit like what Android did, isn't it? What Google did with Android. They just gave out the operating system, didn't they? And say anyone can use this and build their phones around the operating system. And Intel have got this reference design, and they're saying if you're interested, go and make a headset. And that's a good thing. But yeah, a bit steep. Price of admission's a bit steep, but we shall see. And finally, yeah, well, I suppose it sounded like it already. You might have already guessed this, but VR has finally gone to the dogs. But not in the way you think. Ruff. In the way that Beijing police have started fitting... They've started fitting their police dogs with 360-degree cameras so that the dogs can rush in to whatever they need to do, crime scenes or whatever, and their human partner, can stand at a safe distance and see the action through a pair of VR glasses.
Awesome. I thought you was going to say they put VR glasses on dogs and they could chase rabbits in VR. It was like a Wallace and Gromit sim. But that sounds really cool, because that's really kind of send the dog in and then you kind of can stand outside with an Oculus. That's really cool, though. What's the range like?
It's pretty good, the range. Flipping it. Where is it? I'm getting everything but the range. I'll give you some other details while I'm looking for the range. The camera weighs 155 grams. It's ruggedized, so it can take a kick in, and they can run for about 6 hours. Though they say that in the future it could be more. They say that it could record for over a week in the future.
Wow.
But at the moment it just records for 6 hours. It's also got all gyroscopy stuff, so when the dog's running about it keeps the film steady.
Nice.
Which is really cool. What did you ask me?
And when it's licking itself you can look away.
yeah. Well, if you were wearing VR, man, and that dog decides to attack,
yes,
it would make you want to fall over.
It really would. Or if it starts to attack
imagine the motion sickness?
Imagine if it attacks you whilst you're wearing VR. Oh my god!
You think you're like, wow, this is good force feedback.
This is so real. I feel like a dog's chewing my leg. Oh, that's just so cool.
That's it. You asked me what the range was.
Yes.
They capture everything around them, these cameras, from up to 10 metres away.
Right, okay, that's really cool.
And that footage is transmitted live through the power of Wi-Fi to the police, who can then put on the VR headset and have the same view as the dog. Dog vision.
Wow, the dog's also got a mobile hotspot attached to his back as well. This poor dog's got everything. It's got the kitchen sink attached to its little body warmer.
That's why it needs to do the rabbit training, so it gets its legs strung, because it's ridiculous how much stuff it's got to carry on its back, poor thing. But yeah, that'd be pretty intriguing.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All joking aside, that's quite cool.
Yeah, I sort of think send a robot in. Yeah. I feel a bit sorry for the dog.
You can imagine James doing that with his rabbits, couldn't you?
Wow.
Fitting buddy cams so he can kind of see what they're doing throughout the day.
I think we've just sold VR to James.
Yeah, he'll be using his PlayStation VR again now.
360 bunny cam, and at any time of the day or night he can just pop his AHMD on, see what Rabbit's up to.
Yes.
Awesome.
And that's on that hopping note. That's about it for this episode. Big thank you again for listening, and don't forget you can keep up with us at gamersofalostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod. You can also find us on YouTube and the Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox One club. Darren, where can people find you online?
You can find me online on Stubborn Island as Wythermator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch. Daz a Gamer on YouTube and at Daz Whittam on Twitter.
Fantastic. And for me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch. I'm also PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please subscribe or give us a review on iTunes. That's about it. I'm going to go and lick a Switch.
I wish I could. Bye.
Bye.